Chapter 1336. That's true, but I don't want to leave behind an irreparable regret. Chun Hao interrupted the old god, who was still trying to persuade him. After saying that, he directly cut off the mental connection between the two and made his choice. At this moment, life and death, love and love, they were all thrown to the back of Chun Hao's mind. There was only battle in his heart, a battle that did not care about the consequences, a battle that did not care about the cost. His invincible momentum had already been left behind when he met Xiao Mantian and his wife, and when he avoided young Master Saber and Sword Ding Hao, young Master Shinxing, Feng Wuxing, Miao Xian, Qin Yang, and the others. Today, it could be said that his invincible momentum was already gone when he faced Miao Xian head-on. The only thing left was an unyielding belief. If he let the old god control his body and make a move, it would probably become an irreparable regret in his mind. Cultivators go against the heavens. The further one went, the higher the requirement for one's mind. Any flaw in one's mind could become a factor that could restrict one's progress. This was something Chun Hao did not want to see. The great Tao was emotionless. Perhaps it really referred to the emotionlessness of having no attachments and looking down on life and death. Chun Hao moved, throwing away all distracting thoughts. Shiyan's body, soul, and mind had completely merged with Miao Xian's aura. His super strong soul perception captured all the subtle fluctuations, while his brain was operating at a terrifyingly high speed. He wanted to sense the Yin spirit in a domain that he had never touched before. He wanted to find a flaw. At the same time, Chun Hao was also prepared to bear all the consequences. The sound of the great Tao rumbled in his mind. The profound scriptures of nirvana of the true self resounded in his mind. The strongest mysteries of the great fates flowed in his mind. The highest heavenly Tao laws that he had comprehended were all activated. Most importantly, all of his strength had been fused into his own great Tao. The strongest was his own. Everything he had learned had been fused into one. But impossible, there's no time at all. Chun Hao, who had focused all his attention on finding the opponent's flaw, made a judgment in an instant. It was a domain that he had never touched before. For a moment, he did not know where to start. Why should I defend? Your Yin spirit killed my Yin spirit. My Yang spirit killed your Yang spirit. Almost instantly, Chun Hao made another decision. Speaking of which, all of this happened in the blink of an eye. This was the strength of a master's divine sense. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't have the time to think about it. They would never be able to think about it. Roar. Chun Hao let out a furious roar and erupted with madness. The madness of the berserk devil realm was completely unleashed. Stop killing by killing and fight for life with life. At this moment, Chun Hao's essence, energy, spirit, and strength had increased exponentially. All of his potential had been completely stimulated. This was his strongest state. Boom! Chun Hao suddenly shot up into the sky like an arrow that had left the bow, and he slashed out with his sword towards Miao Xian, who was flying over slowly but was unable to stop him. Chi! Hiss! The two of them finally met. Old God was so nervous that his body trembled slightly. Even he could not predict the outcome. Wan Yishui held his breath and prayed silently. However, what Old God expected and what Wan Yishui didn't expect was that the two's bodies and their respective sword lights directly pierced through each other like shadows. There was no explosion after the collision of energy. Even the original aura didn't change in the slightest. They just passed by each other like that. After a certain distance, the two of them stopped in the void at the same time. They turned around and looked at each other directly. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped, and the whole world fell into stillness. It seemed to be a few seconds, but it also seemed to be hundreds of years. Bang! Boom! Boom! Ah! Wan Yishui suddenly let out a scream, full of surprise. She covered her mouth, and her eyes overflowed with tears of excitement uncontrollably, because she saw that the powerful Miao Xian's body was exploding continuously. Even the space between her eyebrows exploded. It was too horrible to look at. However, Chunhao only showed a trace of pain on his face. How could she not be excited? However, what one Ishui didn't know was that in the depths of Chunhao's mind, in the Soul Palace, his soul that had always been invincible at the same level was instantly riddled with holes. Although the space between his eyebrows didn't explode, the degree of injury was definitely not less than Miao Xian's. What was more terrifying was that Chunhao clearly felt that there was a large amount of vitality in every cell of his body. The vitality that Chunhao had never excavated before was annihilated. This feeling clearly told Chunhao that if all the cells in his body were in such a situation, even if he had an immortal body, he wouldn't be able to recover. Chunhao wanted to stop this annihilation. Unfortunately, no matter how he operated his divine thoughts and genuine essence, he couldn't stop it at all. In an instant, a terrifying flame began to rise from Chunhao's blood, bone marrow, and soul. Heat, boundless heat. Chunhao felt that he had become an ant on a hot pan. His body felt like it was about to explode. It was a kind of heat that came from the depths of his soul and bone marrow. Chunhao finally couldn't control himself. He howled crazily, and his eyes instantly turned scarlet. At this moment, one Ishui, who was full of surprise, suddenly widened her eyes, which then turned into endless worry and anxiety. What happened? Boom! Uncontrollably, Chunhao's body burned by itself. The aura of the raging fire was countless times stronger than any flame one Ishui had ever seen. It was not only burning the body, but also the soul. Almost at the same time, on the other side, Miao Xian also screamed in pain. She didn't expect that this fatty would be so powerful when he really burst out. Until now, when she was about to lose her mind, her master and senior brother's repeated reminders appeared in her mind. Indeed, defying the heavens wasn't something that could be done every time. One Ishui, who came back to her senses, saw an incredible scene. Miao Xian, whose body had exploded and a bloody hole had appeared between her eyebrows, was emitting a terrifying chill. At such a distance, one Ishui felt like her soul was being frozen. One fire, one ice, what was going on? The sword light that deterred one Ishui had long disappeared. But at this time, one Ishui not only couldn't take a step forward, but also had to constantly retreat. The feeling of ice and fire was too terrifying. Not to mention getting close to the two, if she was a little slower, she might be burned to ashes or frozen into ice. There was absolutely no suspense. Then, when one Ishui retreated to a safe distance and finally felt a little better, the scene that suddenly appeared made her feel unwell. Chapter 1337. Chi. One seemed to want to burn the heavens and earth. The other seemed to want to freeze the universe. The aura of ice and fire spread out, meeting in the middle of the two. The fire was unable to extinguish the coldness of the ice, and the ice was unable to dissolve the heat of the fire. After a short stalemate, when they discovered that no one could do anything to the other, a shocking scene occurred. The fusion of ice and fire. A perfect balance, without any flaws, miraculously entangled everything. In just an instant, it was as if they had reached a delicate balance of yin and yang. Although Chunhao and Miao Xian were still separated by a great distance, but the aura of the two was like a pair of Tao companions, whispering to each other, flowing endlessly. But what made one Ishui feel uncomfortable was that after their aura had merged, the two people who were still screaming in pain suddenly stopped at the same time. A pair of blood-red eyes and a pair of ice-blue eyes met in the air, and at the same time, a burning desire and passion flashed in their eyes. The feeling was like two lost lambs suddenly seeing the light that belonged to them. They moved at the same time. Under the guidance of the blended aura, they quickly approached each other, until their bodies were completely stuck together. Wan Ishui opened her eyes wide. Her heart inexplicably twitched, but she could not stop it. She did not have the ability to stop it, nor did she dare to stop it. Because, although she did not know what had happened to the two of them, but she knew that the two of them had fallen into a dangerous situation where they could not control themselves, or it could be said that they were on the verge of life and death. Chun Hao's burning aura, Miao Xian's ice-cold aura, any one of them was enough to destroy Wan Yishui's body and soul. How could they bear the brunt of it? If they could bear it, they would not have screamed and lost their minds. And when the two of them were close together, Wan Yishui could clearly feel that the two of them were like two sides of yin and yang that complemented each other. A peaceful, tranquil, and extremely subtle aura was quietly born between the two of them. A moment later, with the two of them as the core, the ice and fire of the entire world had completely merged together. In a very short period of time, they had reached a subtle balance. Not to mention Chun Hao and Miao Xian, who were at the core. Even Wan Yishui, who was far away, felt an indescribably comfortable feeling. This was even more comfortable and intoxicating than the time when she and Chun Hao's spirit and flesh merged. What was going on? Wan Yishui couldn't understand it at all. He only knew that it was similar to the fusion of spirit and flesh, but it was beyond the scope of the fusion of spirit and flesh. The fire on Chun Hao's body was still burning, and the ice on Miao Xian's body was still spreading. Furthermore, it didn't seem to have weakened at all. Only the outside had calmed down, but the inside was still the same. The two people who had lost their rationality were no longer satisfied with the current situation and took a step further. Neither of them forced the other, neither took the initiative, nor was it passive. The two of them kissed each other almost at the same time. The bridge was directly connected. Ice and fire instantly blended together through the bridge built by their tongues, forming a small cycle. An even more intoxicating aura swept out. Wan Yishui's eyes were wide open. Although he tried his best to stay awake, at this time, he could not resist the intoxicating aura. He naturally sank into the boundless comfort, and the green jade ripple technique was activated involuntarily. What was more astonishing was that, at this moment, Chun Hao and Miao Xian's incomparably intoxicating aura allowed Wan Yishui to have a greater understanding of the green jade ripple technique. It gave Wan Yishui the feeling that a door to a wider space had been opened. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The profound meaning of the green jade ripple technique, when Wan Yishui was immersed in enlightenment, quickly swept out. A moment later, it blended into the ice and fire aura of Chun Hao and Miao Xian without any hindrance. Like the wind aiding the fire, with a boom, the ice and fire aura instantly intensified by several times, but it magically maintained a balanced and lingering posture. Just like the profound meaning of the green jade ripple technique during dual cultivation. And it was also at this moment that Wan Yishui, Chun Hao, and Miao Xian slowly rose into the air at the same time and began to approach each other. Everything was happening in the subconscious of the three of them. Wan Yishui's subconscious was enlightened, while Chun Hao and Miao Xian's subconscious was united with the desire to survive after the endless pain and collapse of their minds. Everything happened naturally, very quickly. The small cycle brought about by the bridge was once again unable to satisfy the needs of Chun Hao and Miao Xian, because the completely opposite state in their bodies could not be stopped. The most primitive desire, the innate skill, the human instinct to reproduce, came naturally. Roar. Even if it was his subconscious mind, even if it was his instinct to seek life, when he broke through Miao Xian's sacred secret realm, Chun Hao still let out a roar that sounded like the awakening of an ancient beast. At this moment, Miao Xian, who was completely controlled by her subconscious mind, let out a groan, and a trace of pain appeared on her face. In just an instant, a trace of consciousness appeared in Miao Xian's unconscious mind. She wanted to struggle, wanted to resist, but the control of the subconscious made her crazily cater, twisting her waist, crazily exerting her strength, and the sudden descent of the great cycle, the endless comfort brought about by the fusion of ice and fire, made her lose all ability to resist. At this moment, her subconscious mind had taken over the absolute dominant position. Her wisp of consciousness was only left with endless desolation, sorrow, and regret. She, who had the body of Sword Emperor, had actually become someone else's woman. And it was not forced by anyone. Her consciousness was unable to accept it, but she could not resist it. She was clear about what had happened, and also knew why this had happened. At the same time, she also understood that she could not escape the great calamity that her master had mentioned. Opportunity? She did not think that she had any opportunity, having lost her primordialine body. Even if she had the body of a sword emperor, she could no longer be proud. In the true fusion of yin and yang, sparkling and translucent tears flowed from the eyes of this proud, insufferably arrogant woman, falling in the ice and fire. No one noticed, and no one would notice. She regretted being too confident, regretted not listening to her master and senior brother, regretted not letting her senior brother follow. Everything was already irreversible. Hiss. Mysterious auras floated between the three of them. Wan Yishui only approached the place where the aura was the thickest and most comfortable, which was beside the two of them, but did not participate. She was only immersed in the enlightenment of the azure, silk blue ripple art, blending with the aura of the two. As for Chun Hao and Miao Xian, who had truly entered the great cycle, but could only be considered as half of the fusion of spirit and body, they were performing the most primitive throbbing. The effect of half of the fusion of yin and yang was better than the normal fusion of all yin and yang, because the two of them had joined together subconsciously. Although there were no feelings, the desire to survive that came from their subconscious was very, very strong. Chapter 1338. When the ice and fire reached a delicate balance and formed a big cycle in their bodies, Chun Hao's yin spirit, which was almost destroyed but could not be seen or touched, finally began to recover bit by bit under the fusion of Miao Xian's yin spirit. Miao Xian's yang spirit, which was almost destroyed, also began to recover under the fusion of Chun Hao's yang spirit. If a top expert knew about their situation, they would be shocked to death. This was definitely not something that anyone could do. The level of danger could be said to be impossible, but various coincidences allowed the two to do it. The two's souls, state of mind, and willpower were equal. If either was a little stronger, they would both die. The two injured each other to the point of destruction, but they did not completely destroy each other. Because of this, when their yin spirit or yang spirit was heavily injured, the other spirit had a huge advantage. The balance between yin and yang was completely broken, and one was burning and the other was frozen. If not, they would both die. And at this time, the two's strong willpower and desire to survive were not completely annihilated in the endless pain. Otherwise, they would both die. Phew! Yin spirit. Is this my yin spirit? After an unknown period of time, Chun Hao, who seemed to have completely fallen into madness and was controlled by his subconscious, muttered in his mind. His body could clearly feel the graceful and exquisite body below him. Every time he moved, he could feel the other party's response. It had to be said that this feeling was very intoxicating. Of course, this was without thinking about who the other party was. Chun Hao naturally knew who it was. Such a dramatic reversal. Although it was forced again, Chun Hao really had a headache. When would this great luck with women end? How many women would he send to me? Just like that. Another King 1 came. Moreover, it was the beautiful and powerful body of the Sword Emperor. Even he was no match for it. If the other party had not agreed to 3 moves, if she had not used the yin spirit attack, forcing him to fight with his life, Chun Hao would have to admit that the one who would die would definitely be him, and not her. But now, this arrogant, powerful, and beautiful woman who had been wagging her tail in front of him was now under his body. And she was even, Chun Hao couldn't describe this feeling. It felt good and complicated. It won't be long before my yin spirit is fully recovered. Chun Hao thought to himself as he sensed the changes in every cell in his body. Before this, he would never have been able to sense the existence of the yin master because it was a domain that he had never touched before. But now, his yin spirit was severely injured, and it was slowly recovering. The clear stimulation made him realize what kind of existence the yin spirit was. Compared to the sun spirit, It was like the front and back of the same substance. Of course, this was only Chun Hao's current understanding. Only by stepping on the path of the immortal emperor or learning the yin-yang theory of souls would he be able to understand a little bit. Everything in the world had yin and yang, and the profoundness of yin and yang could be said to accompany a cultivator for life. The more one comprehended, the more profound it felt. Even a true immortal king wouldn't dare to say that he had truly comprehended yin and yang, and even an immortal emperor wouldn't dare to say that he had truly jumped out of yin and yang. What a powerful profoundness. Damn, just the profoundness of the sword Tao in this primordial yin would take me a long time to comprehend. It's many times stronger than Sister Shui's primordial yin. Chun Hao could clearly feel a warm energy flowing through his meridians. Without a doubt, it was Miao Xian's primordial yin. To be able to obtain the primordial yin of such a powerful woman was definitely a rare opportunity for Chun Hao. Even if he only obtained this in the Emperor's Star's secret realm, it would be worth it, because this was the primordial yin of the Sword Emperor's body, which contained the strongest inheritance of the Sword Tao. Of course, the prerequisite was that Chun Hao's comprehension was enough. How do I face this woman? Damn, strictly speaking, this woman isn't a bad person. It's normal for her to forcefully take over this place. She has the strength, just like how I forcefully took over the Azure Cloud Staircase. Moreover, she didn't really have any killing intent at the start. The real reason for her killing intent seems to be because she discovered that I had seen her naked with my fiery golden eyes. Chun Hao's strand of consciousness was pondering over the current situation. Damn, this doesn't seem to be a problem for me to consider. Chun Hao's injuries were recovering, but weren't Miao Xian's injuries recovering as well? This woman was so powerful that it made one's hair stand on end. He had only seen her jade body through his special ability, and he had truly wanted to kill her. But now it was a true blasphemy. He had obtained her naked body. What would happen when this woman truly recovered and woke up? At the very least, Chun Hao wouldn't be able to control it, because Chun Hao was clear that Miao Xian's current state should be the same as his. Both of them were under the control of their subconscious and couldn't do anything about it. It was just a strand of consciousness that wasn't worth mentioning. Once the two's yin and yang merged and completely healed their injuries, it would be the time for their subconscious to retreat and take control of themselves. At that time, this woman might go crazy and really want to kill him. He could only escape, and he might not even be able to escape. Kill. No one can defile me. No one. No one. I want to kill him. Kill him. So what if you kill him? I said 3 moves, 3 moves. All of this is the subconscious. The subconscious. It's not what he wants, nor is it what I want, but it happened. This is fate. This is the destined man. If I kill him, then it's not destined. No, even if I kill him, he's already the man who has taken me. Great tribulation, opportunity. Is it tribulation or fate? I don't know. I don't know. I can't accept it. I can't accept it. Take a step back and you'll see the world. Take a step back and you'll see the world. Take a step back and you'll see the world. Take a step back and you'll see the world. Miao Xian's last strand of consciousness was on the verge of collapsing. She fell into endless torment as if she had gone crazy. Losing her primordialine body was the most precious thing to a woman, something more important than her life. Moreover, it was a person without any emotions. No matter what, she couldn't accept it, at least for now. Just as this strand of consciousness was about to escape into her heart's illusion, a voice suddenly appeared in her mind. Take a step back and you'll see the world. Master, Master, do you want me to retreat? Master. Miao Xian didn't know if it was an illusion or if it was her master's divine sense. But that vast voice suddenly appeared in the deepest part of her soul and resounded throughout the world. In a trance, she seemed to see her master's figure and her master's kind and comforting eyes. I understand, Master. The strand of consciousness that was on the verge of going crazy finally regained its tranquility. In peace, it actually fell asleep like a baby. Without consciousness, it merged into the subconscious and became wholehearted. Chapter 1339. Boom. Chi, chi, chi. As Miao Xian's consciousness merged with her body, her soul and body became complete. It was also at this moment that her soul shadow suddenly appeared above the two bodies. Chun Hao's remnant consciousness was slightly shocked when he felt the boundless and mysterious attractive force. Out of body, Chun Hao couldn't believe it. The integration of soul out of body could only be done with one's whole heart. Even if there was a trace of consciousness remaining, it couldn't be done. In the case where the subconscious mind was dominant, it was necessary to lose all consciousness. But now Miao Xian had actually gone out of body. That's not right. She must have a trace of consciousness like me. She didn't disappear before. Now that her injuries are recovering, she should be able to relax. How could she integrate into the subconscious mind now? Master, don't waste the opportunity. The Sword Emperor's primordialine body can only be used once. She is already your woman. Although it was an accident, suddenly, Old God's voice appeared out of nowhere in Chun Hao's remaining consciousness. The words he spoke were simple words, yet they were vast like the tune of the Tao, and they suffused the depths of this strand of Chun Hao's mind and resounded through the heavens and the earth. Chun Hao wanted to say something, yet he suddenly became dazed. F***CK your mother, old God. I don't have a mother, master. Chun Hao's last consciousness was to F***CK old God. An old God, who was immersed in the deepest part of Chun Hao's mind, crossed his legs and revealed a proud smile. Behind him, clouds curled up like a fairyland. An ancient door engraved with complicated runes was faintly discernible, releasing an ancient, solemn, and sacred aura. Even Chun Hao had never found such an existence in his mind. Boom! Chi. Chun Hao's remaining consciousness was like Miao Xian, integrated into the subconscious mind. Coupled with Miao Xian's soul out of body, there was no suspense at all. Chun Hao's soul also rose and intertwined with Miao Xian's soul. Chi. At this time, Wan Yishui, who was in the midst of enlightenment, clearly felt that the aura around him had become more comfortable and intoxicating. Immersed in enlightenment, he felt that he was about to make a breakthrough, but there was always a thin layer separating him, as if something was missing. Finally, at this moment, there was a qualitative change that occurred. Boom! The profound meaning of the green silk blue wave technique finally took a step forward. In an instant, her aura merged with Chun Hao and Miao Xian, complementing and influencing each other. Chi! Boom! It was also at this time that Wan Yishui, who had entered the highest realm with Chun Hao countless times, showed an inconceivable scene. His soul left his body. Voila! What was even more shocking was that it directly merged into Chun Hao and Miao Xian's souls, and the three souls merged. It was like a dragon twin with two phoenixes circling around the bodies of the three in a profound trajectory. Three cultivators. If Chun Hao was still conscious at this moment, he would definitely be extremely excited. Hiss. No one knew that at this time, between Chun Hao's eyebrows, mysterious runes were constantly flowing out, quickly drifting between heaven and earth, forming a mysterious protection around the three of them. It blocked off any aura of the three of them, and even isolated this space. If other cultivators were to pass by, they would definitely not discover this dilapidated but charming palace. Wholeheartedly and subconsciously dual cultivation, and it was with a Sword Emperor's body. More importantly, there was also one Yishui who used the absolute dual cultivation technique, Azure Silk Blue Ripple technique. How much could he comprehend in such a heaven-defying great cycle? How much could she learn? How much could she improve? The old god could not be sure, but he knew that it must be very strong. Moreover, there were no side effects to the body, because they were the subconscious. Master, I have created an absolutely quiet and reliable environment for you. I hope you can improve to the greatest extent. Otherwise, when you wake up, you may become the target of this female Sword Emperor or even be killed. The old god muttered to himself. After that, his figure flashed and disappeared into the indistinct immortal gate. Even the old god himself did not expect that things would develop to this step. But after entering the fusion of yin and yang, when the two of them only had a wisp of divine consciousness left, he had a chance to perform. How could the old god waste this opportunity? He decisively acted for his master. Although he was F***ed, the old god did not care. Sometimes he could not completely follow his master's wishes. Chi. In the depths of the immortal emperor tomb, a figure flying rapidly in the void suddenly stopped. He thoughtfully turned back to look at the path he came from. I'm restless. Did something really happen to Junior's sister? It shouldn't be. Although brotherly Yuan is the reincarnation of an immortal emperor, his strength is not even comparable to mine, and the gap between him and Junior's sister is even greater. No matter what the situation is, Junior's sister should have the absolute advantage. Well, it should be the danger intuition brought about by my gradually approaching the coffin of the immortal emperor. Qin Yang stood upright in the void like a sword. His whole aura was filled with an awe-inspiring righteousness, grand and sacred, as if he was the ruler of the world. As the Sword Emperor, he would only restrain his aura in front of Junior's sister. Firstly, it was the suppression of his innate constitution. Secondly, she was his most beloved, doted on, and spoiled junior sister. He would not compete with Junior's sister, nor would he really compete with Junior's sister. Since childhood, giving in to her had already become a character in his bones. Miao Xian had never believed her master's words that she was not as strong as senior brother. She also did not think that senior brother was someone who had truly comprehended the supreme mysteries of the Sword Tao. Because she had the constitution of a Sword Emperor, and because senior brother was inferior to her every time they fought. Her master had also once told her that whether it was the constitution of a Sword Emperor or the constitution of a Sword Emperor, it was just a kind of innate advantage. Postnatal effort was the most important. Just like her master, he had the most ordinary constitution, but now he was known as the new Sword King. Miao Xian had always thought that her master's words were just to advise her not to be arrogant. She thought that she understood everything. But if at this moment she quietly appeared and secretly saw senior brother Qin Yang's aura, she would understand what a real swordsman was like. Qin Yang smiled casually and cut off the inexplicably beating, uneasy feeling with a sword. A swordsman was courageous and fearless. A swordsman was upright and plain-spoken, straightforward and decisive. However, what Qin Yang did not know was that this time his judgment was wrong. Because the moment when he was feeling uneasy was the moment when Miao Xian and Chun Hao were about to perish together. And the reason why he made such a judgment was that the life and death crisis lasted for too short a time, and then it turned into the fusion of yin and yang. Chapter 1340. Otherwise, with Qin Yang's heart as clear as a mirror and his spirit as untainted as a speck of dust, his intuition would be very accurate. The immortal emperor's coffin, it's about time. I'll wait for Junior sister to reach the front before I advance. Qi. The endless and terrifying pressure had almost no effect on Qin Yang. His state of mind had long reached the pinnacle of the way of the sword, and it was the great Tao. His state of mind was as clear as a mirror, untainted by dust and impervious to all techniques. Under the powerful space-time laws of the Emperor's Star Secret Realm, 1,000 years was but a blink of an eye. Qin Yang, who was sitting cross-legged, seemed to have merged with all things in the world, becoming a part of the mountain. He did not use any boundary to protect himself, nor did he send out any energy to circulate around his body. He just quietly comprehended the world, and 1,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. His body was already covered with a thick layer of dust, and grass had grown out. It's been 1,000 years. With Junior sister's character, why hasn't she advanced for so long? Even if she had a conflict with brotherly Yuan, it should have ended long ago, and she should have appeared long ago. Qin Yang, who knew Miao Xian very well, was puzzled. Even if Junior's sister cultivated in seclusion, it would at most be 1,000 years. Since she was young, this was the limit of her seclusion. With her astonishing talent and comprehension, there were not many things that required her to cultivate in seclusion for a long time. I'll wait for another 100 years. If she still doesn't appear, I'll go back and take a look, Qin Yang thought. He did not think that Junior's sister would return to the world now. If something happened, it should be in the core of the immortal emperor's coffin or on the azure cloud stairs mentioned in the news. Just as Qin Yang was preparing to immerse himself in the world again, to feel the pulse of the world and comprehend the pinnacle of the way of the sword, an aura suddenly appeared in his perception. She's here. I've already said that Junior's sister's patience is only 1,000 years. Haha. Qin Yang smiled. However, he, who had clearly sensed Junior's sister's aura, did not reveal his own aura at this time. Instead, he completely concealed it. He could not let Junior's sister know that he was deliberately waiting for her. The familiar aura was approaching from afar. The speed was extremely shocking. In a short 1,000 years, Junior's sister's speed has increased so much. Her aura seems to be a lot stronger. Qin Yang was slightly surprised. But as Miao Xian got closer and closer, Qin Yang suddenly let out a boom sound. His aura violently soared, igniting the entire world. At that moment, it was like a sword that had been slumbering for billions of years had suddenly revealed its strongest sword light, causing the entire world to tremble in fear. Rumble, in an instant, just the aura that Qin Yang suddenly released actually caused the surroundings to surge with thousands of sword lights, causing the mountains to collapse and the earth to split. How is that possible? How could this be? Junior's sister. Junior's sister. She, like a sword, he directly cut through the void and flew towards Miao Xian. Primordialine body. His junior sister had actually lost her primordialine body. She had only gone into seclusion for a short period of time. Furthermore, he was right in front of his junior sister's path of advancement. But unexpectedly, if his junior martial sister had lost her primordialine body, he could understand if she had someone following her. After all, his master had said that his junior martial sister would meet the man of her destiny here. But now, his junior martial sister, who was flying at high speed, was all alone. When he saw his junior sister's appearance, it made Qin Yang's heart ache even more. Endless pity and anger surged in his heart. How is this still his beautiful and proud junior sister? Her thin face, her lonely expression, her sorrowful and empty eyes, her messy hair. Every single one of them deeply pierced Qin Yang's heart. In Qin Yang's life, he only had 2 family members, his master and his junior sister. They were also his only concern. His greatest happiness was that his master and junior sister were both happy. His greatest wish was to step onto the peak of the Sword Tao and become his master's pride and his junior sister's guardian. But now, junior sister. In just an instant, Qin Yang had arrived beside Miao Xian. His eyes were filled with pity and endless anger as he shouted. However, Miao Xian was not even surprised by his sudden appearance. It was not that Miao Xian had sensed Qin Yang from the beginning, but that she was numb. Yes, numb. Junior sister, tell senior brother what happened. Senior brother is here for everything. Qin Yang grabbed Miao Xian's shoulders and looked straight into her empty eyes as he said. Unfortunately, Miao Xian only looked at him quietly and emptily. The more it was like this, the more Qin Yang's heart hurt. Tell senior brother, who bullied you? Who? No matter who it is, senior brother can make the decision for you. Tell me. Qin Yang shook Miao Xian's shoulders and asked loudly. Senior brother, don't disturb me. Don't disturb you? Senior brother will not allow anyone to bully you. Even if it's your destined man, he shouldn't at this time. I left him. Senior brother, I know you care about me, but now I really don't need you to care about me. I'm in the middle of comprehending. I just want to leave him far away. I don't believe in fate, and I don't believe in fate. So what if he got me? I just lost my primordialine body. I'm still me. I'm still me. How can he be worthy of me? He's so much worse than senior brother. It's impossible between us, impossible. Senior brother, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I'm cultivating, I'm comprehending, really. Miao Xian's empty eyes seemed to have regained consciousness, but the words she said made Qin Yang's heart bleed. That expression, that tone, those words. How much stimulation did junior sister have to endure to become like this? Junior sister. Qin Yang took her into his arms tenderly. Junior sister? If you want to cry, just cry. Will senior brother still laugh at you? Don't worry, no matter who it is. As long as they make you unhappy, senior brother will avenge you. If you want him to die, he can't live. Don't. Senior brother, what I can do, you can't do. What I can't do, you naturally can't do. I'm stronger than you, stronger than you. If I want to kill him, it's very simple, very simple. But although I hate it, although I can't do it. Senior brother, you know that I always keep my words. I said 3 moves, and an accident happened in 3 moves. It's not his fault, nor my fault. This is all fate. Fate. No, I won't be with him. I'm still me. Senior brother, can I be considered to have succeeded in defying the heavens? Junior sister, sleep for a while. Qin Yang suddenly pointed his finger and directly imprinted it between Miao Xian's eyebrows. Miao Xian's already chaotic thoughts, which seemed to have a heart demon, were finally annihilated by Qin Yang's sword of wisdom. Her eyes were wide open, and at this time, sparkling and translucent tears finally overflowed from her eyes. At this time, Qin Yang's eyes, which had always been calm, flashed with an incomparably fierce fighting spirit. Chapter 1341. After binding Miao Xian, who was in a deep coma, on his back, Qin Yang dashed towards the direction where Miao Xian had come from like a sword. Although Miao Xian did not say who it was, Qin Yang could roughly guess. Who else could it be other than Fatty Li Yuan? Although Qin Yang had completely denied it was Fatty in the beginning, based on the information he knew, only Fatty and Li Yuan, as well as himself and junior sister, were able to reach this level. He regretted that he had chosen to move forward instead of hiding near junior sister. Qin Yang, who was furious, increased his speed to the extreme, like a sword piercing through the sky. At another place, Fatty, are you really not going to chase after her? I can feel that her mood is very unstable. So what? What does it have to do with me? Didn't you hear what she said? I'm nothing in her eyes. I'm not worthy of her. Why would I chase after her? You don't understand women. Why wouldn't I understand? I don't believe that she would fall in love with me because of the accidental fusion of yin and yang. Cough, cough. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. With her abnormal strength, we don't need to worry about her. Besides, if she goes crazy, you and I will be the ones to die. Why would I chase after her? If you want to chase after her, you should wait until I have the ability to subdue her with one punch. Chen Hao still wanted to say something, but when he thought of his great luck with women, he did not insist. However, Chen Hao's self-esteem was indeed severely damaged by Miao Xian. Damn it. After waking up from the fusion of yin and yang, she beat him up. Not only did he not fight back, she even scolded him. If it was just scolding him, he could understand. After all, who the hell would lose their precious primordialine body for no reason? Anyone would be sad and angry. However, she actually scolded the handsome, elegant, intelligent, and courageous brother into a pile of shit. Not worthy of you? No matter how unworthy you are, you have to submit to Lord Fatty's crotch. She told you that she's Miao Xian, the disciple of the new generation Sword King, Chen Taishu. This proves that she doesn't really look down on you. At most, she looks down on you now. After all, every woman wants their man to be stronger than them. Only then will they be able to rely on him, just like me. In my eyes, Dao companions have nothing to do with cultivation. In front of true feelings, strength and weakness are not important. You're right. Right now, I really don't care if you're strong or weak. No matter what you become in the future, I will like you. But the premise is that you already have feelings for each other. But you don't have feelings for each other, do you? That's true. All right. Let's not talk about her anymore. My head hurts. Mother of asterisk her. This is the first time I've been forced to this extent by a woman. Let's go. We'll go deeper, but let's change directions. I'd rather take a detour. I don't want to see this woman again. Fatty, you don't want to get beaten up, right? F***CK. What nonsense are you talking about? Why would I be afraid of her? Chen Hao directly grabbed Wan Yishui his figure flickering and disappearing on the spot. F***CK. My improvement is so fast. Just the simple activation of the great teleportation technique shocked Chun, Hao, and Wan Yishui at the same time. Although they felt that they had improved a lot after 1,000 years of ***** fusion, when they really flew and operated the divine ability law, they truly felt how terrifying their improvement was. Even Wan Yishui's improvement could be described as terrifying. 10 billion miles in an instant. Whether it was the space-time law or the heavenly Tao law, Chun Hao and Wan Yishui had a comprehension that surpassed their realms in terms of compatibility. Subconsciously, they didn't know that they had comprehended it, but when they operated it, it was actually manifested. What a perverted woman. Before, I could at most surpass 2 realms to comprehend the heavenly Tao law. It was very difficult to go any higher, but she surpassed me by several realms. Chun Hao thought, the sword Tao law and heavenly Tao law contained in her vital yin are also very strong. It's impossible for ordinary people to comprehend it. Fortunately, it was given to me. Although it will take some time, comprehending it is not a problem, as long as I do it step by step. Fatty, let me test my limits, Wan Yishui said excitedly. Okay, Chi. Fatty directly separated from Wan Yishui. Immediately, Wan Yishui relied entirely on himself to activate the great teleportation art, and his figure flashed away. The fatty smiled and followed closely. Although Wan Yishui's speed was nothing in front of him, there were only a few people in the Emperor Star secret realm who could beat her. The two of them were immersed in the excitement of increasing their strength, and moved to the side at an astonishing speed. Little did they know that it was this decision that allowed them to avoid the furious Qin Yang. Otherwise, even if Chun Hao didn't die, he would have to endure Miao Xian's ravaging. Qin Yang's true strength was even stronger than Miao Xian's. It wasn't something that could be measured by pure physique. In the case of perfection paragons of the same realm, the strength of one's mental state was the true strength. If it wasn't for Miao Xian, who was Qin Yang's reverse scale, Qin Yang's mental state would have reached the realm of being impervious to all techniques. Of course, this referred to techniques of the same realm. After waking up from a deep sleep, Miao Xian had finally returned to normal. She had never cried before, but this was the first time she cried in front of her senior brother, who was like family to her. She cried to her heart's content, venting the grievances, unwillingness, and anger in her heart. She also told Qin Yang the whole story. However, after knowing the truth, Qin Yang wasn't as angry as before. However, although he didn't want to admit it, he had to admit that the man destined for his junior sister was indeed not worthy of her, even if the other party had exceeded his expectations. However, in Qin Yang's eyes, who in the world was worthy of his junior sister? Probably no one. Miao Xian was the most precious treasure in his and his master's hearts. In his heart, she was his closest junior sister, his youngest sister. She was a flawless existence, and Qin Yang would feel that no man was worthy of her. This kind of feeling was indescribable. Perhaps only those who had daughters, sisters, and brothers would be able to understand it. This is what happened. Senior brother, do you think I should kill him? Chun Hao's appearance appeared in Miao Xian's mind. She had already seen the two appearances, the disguised fatty and the original, and the scene of thousands of years of fusion, which made her feel conflicted again. To kill or not to kill, she couldn't be sure of her own heart. Junior sister, a swordsman can't be sloppy. Your current tone has already betrayed your heart. If you wanted to kill him, you should have killed him before. Naturally, you wouldn't have waited until the future. In fact, I can feel that the biggest resistance in your heart may not be him, but the so-called fate, the so-called destiny. Qin Yang said softly, gazing into the endless void. His gaze was distant, but it had to be said that he had hit the nail on the head. Chapter 1342. In this world, the person who understood Miao Xian the most was Qin Yang. Even her master, Chun Tai Su, couldn't compare to her in this regard. Fate, Miao Xian muttered to herself. You just want to defy the heavens and succeed. You don't want to be defeated by fate. But what is fate? It's like an invisible hand that controls everything about us, let alone us. Even a powerhouse like Master or the legendary celestial emperors can't escape from the river of fate. Many times, the more we understand the truth, the farther we are from it, and the more confused we feel. Only when we truly see through it will we be enlightened. Your current situation is fate. You killed him, but can you be sure that it's not fate? I can't be sure. In fact, it's because Master spoiled you too much. He was afraid that something would happen to you. So he told you the heavenly secrets he deduced time and time again in advance so that you could seek fortune and avoid calamity. After so many years, if you didn't have the body of Sword Emperor and the bloodline inheritance, your realm and combat strength wouldn't have reached such a level. It's also because Master told you that you feel like you're fighting fate. What if Master didn't tell you? Perhaps the situation would be better. But since Master said it, perhaps it's also a part of fate. Phew! It's too profound, junior sister. For now, this is an unsolvable problem for us. Let's leave everything to fate and let nature take its course. Qin Yang was confused by her own words. Qi, Qi, Qi. In the depths of the boundless Milky Way, Chun Shui, Chen Nan, Pan Long, and Du Jing formed a team in the Milky Way tunnel and quickly advanced through the tunnel's automatic teleportation function. They had been in here for a while, but under the ever-changing laws of space and time, they didn't know how long they had been in here. At this moment, the Milky Way tunnel suddenly began to widen. The great world of CND, we're almost there. We're almost there. Brother, I'm coming. Boss, we're coming. Ha ha. Pan Long and the others stood up from their cross-legged positions one after another in excitement. They were about to arrive at the legendary The Great World of CND. The girls also stood up excitedly. They had already received news of Chun Hao from Xixian. Although they were a little worried, they believed that Chun Hao's original body would return in one piece. As for the clones of the 9 Lives' profound technique, the girls had never thought too much about them. In their opinion, they were just the products of Chun Hao's cultivation process. The original body was irreplaceable. If Chun Hao's original body perished, the avatar would be meaningless to them. The Hua Star to Hua Academy. I hope we won't appear too far away from there. Of course, it would be best if he could appear on planet Gargantuan. However, the chances of that happening are very small. Don't think too much about it. Even if Hao comes out of the Emperor Star's secret realm, it will be many years later. At that time, he'll have reached the great circle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland and will definitely go to the Hongming domain. At that time, we'll be almost there. That's true. Naturally, he'll have to meet Teacher Si Xian when he returns, and we'll receive the news as well. Yes. The girls discussed excitedly. Although not many years had passed since they reincarnated, it was still a reincarnation. They felt that it had been a long time since they last saw Chun Hao. Now that they were on the path to Chun Hao's side, how could they not be excited? Sisters, I won't be going with you. Lu Hui, who was still in the Sky River Star region's attire, was now wearing jeans and a white t-shirt. Her long hair was draped over her shoulders, and she was full of youthful beauty. However, the jeans and t-shirt were not ordinary clothes. They were clothes that Lu Hui had specially refined. What are you going to do? The girls asked. I have to hide myself. Senior Yilan said so. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll go around by myself. I'll keep in touch with the celestial realm. Chi. As Lu Hui spoke, she tore through the barrier of the Milky Way tunnel and disappeared in a flash. Everyone looked at each other, but there was nothing they could do. Lu Hui, who was the reincarnation of the soul of all creation, was strong. Other than her aura, they did not know anything else about her. In short, she was very strong. After tearing through the barrier of space, everyone stepped out of the Milky Way tunnel. However, even though it had only been a moment, they had completely lost track of Lu Hui. So close, yet so far. This was the strength of the Milky Way tunnel. After flying continuously for several months in the chaotic space, everyone finally stepped into the legendary great world of CND. They followed in Chun Hao's footsteps and started a new life. Less than half a month before them, the seventh anima, who had completely inherited Chun Hao's talent and was regarded as the most abnormal by Yi Lan and the others, had stepped into the great world of CND. Since then, except for Buttface and other brothers and sisters who were much weaker and did not have much ambition, Chun Hao had all stepped into the great world of CND. They represented the most talented and powerful young generation in the ancient chaos universe. They had experienced the era when the 10 galaxies were divided and divided. They had grown up in poverty and experienced countless trials of life and death. Even the unification of the 10 galaxies and the reappearance of the ancient chaos heavenly Tao could be attributed to their contributions. Now, with the glory and hope of the ancient chaos universe, they had followed in the footsteps of the god of slaughter Chun Hao. They had come in the name of proud heaven as a whole. Could they be famous enough to shake the celestial emperor? The wheel of fate was rolling forward, like an invisible hand that covered the sky, controlling and pushing everything forward. Opportunities and luck that could not be seen or touched were always playing their role in the unseen world. Along the way, Chun Hao had always been in the midst of surpassing others. Suddenly, because of coincidences, he slowed down. Sometimes he exchanged time for space. Sometimes he exchanged time for time. When the women and brothers and sisters felt that they could not keep up with him at all, waiting appeared. Waiting for them to catch up, waiting for their arrival, giving them new hope, new passion, and new enthusiasm. Now, stepping into the great world of CND was a new beginning for them. A new round of catching up. After experiencing the precipitation of reincarnation and time, the women had been able to face their own feelings. They could bear the heartache and longing for Chun Hao when they had let go of him. Now, what they had to do was to catch up with him crazily during the period of time Chun Hao gave them. Chun Nan, Pan Long, Du Jing, and the others who had not been reincarnated had surpassed Chun Hao's current stage and stepped into the Hongmeng Supreme stage. However, they did not have the slightest sense of superiority. Itoda, who had stepped into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm a long time ago, did not dare to relax at all. In their minds, in front of their abnormal boss, the stage was nothing but a floating cloud. Chapter 1343. After Chun Hao and Wan Yishui took a long detour, they began to move towards the core of the fluctuations. The Emperor Star's secret realm, the Immortal Emperor tomb, and the Immortal Emperor's coffin were all extremely attractive to cultivators, especially the Immortal Emperor's coffin. The disappearance of history, the extinction of immortal emperors, everything was just a legend. In the billions of years of new epics and new historical records, not a single immortal emperor had appeared. The Emperor Star's secret realm could be said to be the place closest to the Immortal Emperor's aura, and the Immortal Emperor's coffin might allow cultivators to see the legendary remains of the Immortal Emperor. What did the remains of the Immortal Emperor mean? Not to mention the cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Even true Immortal King experts would be excited to see it, because the remains of the Immortal Emperor must have reached the realm of immortality. It was refined to the peak by an Immortal Emperor expert, and definitely contained supreme laws and Tao marks. And this was only in the sense of inheritance. On the other hand, the remains of the Immortal Emperor were definitely one of the best materials to refine powerful magic treasures. This was undeniable. Unfortunately, even though all the cultivators knew this, not many of them had the guts and ability to come over. Moreover, because of the appearance of the Azure Cloud Stairs, those who had the ability to come chose to give up. For example, the young noble of Saber and Sword Ding Hao, Xiao Mantian and his wife, and the young noble of Godspeed Feng Wuxing. Now, only Chun Hao, Wan Yishui, Qin Yang, and Miao Xian were still approaching the core of the Immortal Emperor tomb. As they went deeper and deeper, the pressure grew stronger and stronger. Chun Hao and Wan Yishui would have to stop every few days to cultivate and comprehend for at least 100 years. On the other side, Miao Xian's situation was not better than Chun Hao and Wan Yishui. This was an invisible contest. Both sides knew that since the other side had gone so deep, They had no reason to give up on the immortal Emperor tomb. Whether they could open it or not, they had to at least try, even if it was just a glance. However, Qin Yang, who could be faster, chose to follow in his junior sister's footsteps. He did not want anything to happen to her. Compared to his junior sister, the immortal emperor's coffin was nothing. Moreover, he didn't think that Chen Hao and Wan Yishui could be faster than them. Previously, Chen Hao and Wan Yishui were able to get ahead of them. In his opinion, the biggest reason was that Chen Hao and Wan Yishui had the great teleportation technique. But now, as they went deeper and deeper, the immortal emperor's pressure became more and more powerful. Speed was not the only factor. More importantly, it depended on the ability to withstand the immortal emperor's pressure, the speed of adaptation, the speed of comprehension, and other conditions. Flying speed was basically negligible in the end. Senior brother, What's wrong, junior sister? You can be faster than me, right? Miao Xian looked at Qin Yang with a strange expression and asked. She had always believed that she was stronger than Qin Yang. But under the terrifying pressure, after 1,000 years, she discovered that Qin Yang was able to keep up with her. If she stopped, he would stop as well. When she left, he left as well. Moreover, when she thought of the scene when she and Qin Yang met when she was on the verge of collapse, Miao Xian finally realized that something was wrong. Senior brother can barely keep up with junior sister. If you were a little faster, senior brother wouldn't be able to keep up. You're lying. Miao Xian was a little angry. She had been angry and reprimanded her senior brother too many times, so she was already used to it. But this time, after she finished speaking, her expression became slightly gloomy. She immediately said, Senior brother, thank you. Thank you for always giving in to me. But now, please don't do that to me again. Don't let me live in a self-righteous illusion. I want to be the real me, and you also want to be the real you. This time, I've been with him for 1,000 years. Even in the perfection realm, my battle strength has increased by nearly 20%. But you still... Senior brother, I've already grown up. Grown up? Okay? Okay. Junior sister, don't be agitated. Actually, senior brother is only strong in the state of mind. You're the Sword Emperor. Senior brother is the Sword Emperor and will always... Don't say any more. You could be fast. I hope you could be fast. The faster the better. We can't let that damn fatty get there first. Can they be faster than us? Junior sister, you don't understand. Can you go quickly? All right, but senior brother must bring you with him. Boom. Chi. A dazzling sword ray suddenly bloomed from between Qin Yang's brows, condensing into numerous energy swords that protected Miao Xian. What shocked Miao Xian was that in just an instant, the extremely powerful Celestial Emperor's aura had weakened a lot. Although it could not completely block it, it was enough for her to move unhindered. Virtuous like water, invulnerable. Senior brother, your state of mind has actually reached such a level. No desires, no thoughts, no self, no heart. I'm the sword is me, and the body and mind are only the sword. Senior brother still can achieve invulnerability, because I still have worries in my heart. Qin Yang brought Miao Xian with him as he charged through the layers of pressure, like a sword piercing through the wind and waves. Only when the heart is free of worries can there be no fear. Without fear, one can stay away from the inverted dream and achieve nirvana. At that time, one can achieve true invulnerability. Only when the heart is free of worries can there be no fear. Without fear, one can stay away from the inverted dream and achieve nirvana. Miao Xian seemed to have comprehended something as she muttered and repeated Qin Yang's words. She actually slowly closed her eyes. Her entire body bloomed with crystal-clear sword rays as the sword shadow condensed between her brows. Epiphany! Qin Yang was surprised. Then, a knowing smile appeared on the corners of his mouth as he muttered, Junior sister's innate talent is stronger than mine after all. It's just temporarily inferior to me. No. Qin Yang carefully sensed the aura on Miao Xian's body. Suddenly, he was surprised again. Junior sister's experience of dual cultivation after losing her primordialine body seems to have brought her a lot of improvement. Yes, I should have thought of this earlier. Junior Marshall's sister is already at the full circle realm. Apart from raising her realm, it is extremely difficult for her to raise her strength by even a little bit. However, she and Li Yuan, after returning, it has only been 1,000 years, but her strength has increased by a large margin. Even if it is dual cultivation, it should not have such a strong effect. After all, Junior Marshall's sister is already at the full circle realm. Wang. Right at this moment, Miao Xian, who seemed to have entered a state of epiphany, suddenly emitted a sacred golden light. She sat down with her legs crossed. Her body was like a sword, and her sword was like a person. Her shadows overlapped, and she looked extremely sacred. But what shocked Qin Yang even more was Miao Xian's red lips parted slightly, and a lotus bloomed. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, when he was deep in meditation, he saw that the 5 skandhas were all empty. According to the meditation, there was no worry in the heart, no worry, no fear, away from the inverted dream, in the end, nirvana. Reveal the truth, 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 reveal the truth of as the sound of Tao spread out. A profound and complete scripture that Qin Yang had never heard before drifted out from Miao Xian's mouth. Chapter 1344. This made Qin Yang extremely excited. The reason why his state of mind was so strong was that during his training, he had coincidentally obtained a few lines of the heart cultivation inheritance that he had just told Si Xian. It was an incomplete heart cultivation sutra, and he had been enlightened by it at that time. And now, Miao Xian had actually chanted the complete and profound heart sutra. There was no need to distinguish it at all, just from the profound meaning contained in Miao Xian's Tao voice. Qin Yang could be sure that this was definitely the complete version of the incomplete Heart Sutra that he had obtained, and Si Xian had inherited its essence. If Chun Hao was here, he would definitely be shocked with his eyes and mouth wide open because Miao Xian had chanted one of the most powerful Heart Sutra of Prajna Paramitha. In the subconscious fusion of yin and yang, Miao Xian had actually obtained its profound meaning from Chun Hao. Moreover, this might only be one of the benefits that Miao Xian had obtained. The others were still hidden in her subconscious, waiting for the right opportunity to awaken. Just like Qin Yang's casual words had caused Miao Xian to have an epiphany at this moment. Even Chun Hao would never have thought of this, let alone the power of the Heart Sutra. Chun Hao had chanted the Heart Sutra countless times when his nirvana true self was undergoing nirvana. However, limited by his own realm and experience, the limit of his comprehension was his own limit. There were many things that he thought he had truly comprehended, but with the increase of experience and the improvement of his vision, when he looked back, he would find that the same words had a new meaning. This was the power of the Heart Sutra. No one could say that they had truly comprehended it. No one could say that they had truly mastered it. Miao Xian had entered an epiphany. The Tao voice appeared, and the lotus bloomed. Qin Yang was shocked and surprised. He was also immersed in the profound meaning of Miao Xian's Tao voice and entered a state of cultivation. The coercion of the tomb of the immortal emperor, under the increasingly clear and distant Tao voice, quietly retreated. Endless rays of light surged in a radius of millions of miles, and a vast and sacred aura spread out. Time passed quietly in this oblivious state. After an unknown period of time, a faint sword was quietly born in the Tao voice. At this moment, Miao Xian's whole body bloomed with a sword-shaped light shadow. Her beautiful and otherworldly face bloomed with endless majesty, as if an empress had descended. Qi, qi, qi. In the depths of the tomb of the immortal emperor, two figures stood hand in hand. Their Taoist robes and long hair fluttered in the wind. The terrifying pressure that was coming towards them made them squint their eyes. It was as if a sword was coming towards them. Both their bodies and souls were enduring the pain of being cut into pieces. Fatty, it hurts. Facing pain head-on is the cruelest way, but it's also the fastest way. Persevere. I will persevere, but this is really so close yet world apart. It's been 10,000 years, and we've only advanced 100 kilometers. 10,000 years here is only a little more than 3 years. To have such an improvement in 3 years, what more do you want, Sister Shui? Chen Hao said. After parting ways with Miao Xian, 20,000 years had passed in the immortal emperor tomb. 10,000 years ago, Chen Hao and Wan Yishui had reached the true core outside the immortal emperor's coffin. However, they were blocked by its terrifying pressure and Tao marks. After 10,000 years, they had only advanced about 100 miles. To them, who could travel tens of billions of miles in an instant, this was absolutely unbearable. However, Chen Hao felt that these 10,000 years were worth it. In the first 3,000 years, Chen Hao's mind was connected with Wan Yishui's, and they both endured the pressure of the Tao marks. Although it did slow him down, he was able to integrate his state of mind into Wan Yishui's state of mind and endure Wan Yishui's pain. This feeling made him, who had an extremely strong ability to endure pain, become thousands of times more sensitive. It was equivalent to a brand new tempering. His temperament, patience, and willpower were all improved in all aspects. In the middle 3,000 years, Chen Hao's mind was still connected with Wan Yishui's, but he no longer endured Wan Yishui's pain. Instead, he sought to transcend his own pain, allowing his state of mind to transcend the pain and immerse himself in comprehending Tao marks and laws. This was a kind of transcendence of the state of mind. But Chen Hao had used an entire 3,000 years of time and had really done it. As he went deeper, even if he had to endure the pain of being sliced into pieces, Chen Hao was still able to immerse himself completely in comprehension and wasn't affected by the pain in the slightest. Determination. This was one of the strongest types of determination. In the remaining 4,000 years, Chen Hao once again integrated into Wan Yishui's state of mind. While enduring Wan Yishui's pain, he sought to transcend. Until now, he finally did it again. He had almost reached the state of being invulnerable. Furthermore, he did not achieve it through the method of cultivating his state of mind. Instead, he faced the cruel pain head-on and sought to transcend the pain step by step. Right now, if it wasn't for Wan Yishui, Chen Hao could have sped up by several times. This was because the terrifying pressure of the Tao marks had already turned into an insignificant breeze when his mental state had transcended to the point where he was almost invulnerable to all techniques. It blew over slowly, but it didn't cause any pain in the slightest, only a cool and refreshing feeling. You seem to be very relaxed, as if it's easy to talk while standing. Cough, cough. That's true, but Big Brother also walks step by step. What you are experiencing now is just the process that Big Brother went through. To you, it is indeed a little cruel. How about Big Brother say that you have an absolute art that cultivates the mind? Absolute art that cultivates the mind. Actually, it's profound meaning when our spirit and body fused. You should have felt it. It's just that whether you can comprehend it or not depends on yourself. Now that Big Brother is imparting it to you, you might not be able to comprehend it in a short period of time. But as long as you concentrate on reciting it, you will definitely comprehend it and gain something. Oh, good, Wan Yishui said excitedly. After becoming the Fatty's Tao companion and truly beginning the fusion of yin and yang, Wan Yishui truly understood how abnormal the fatty was. At least to Wan Yishui, he was definitely an unfathomable existence. And now, since the fatty said that it was an absolute art that cultivated the mind, how could it be bad? Chen Hao smiled and began to chant. In an instant, the sound of the great path bloomed from the tip of Chen Hao's tongue. Golden lotuses floated out and danced around Wan Yishui. Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, became solemn and dignified, as if Buddha or Bodhisattva had descended. He was extremely divine. Chen Hao was reciting the Heart Sutra of Prajna pineapple honey. It was definitely a coincidence. Even if Chen Hao broke his head, he would never have thought that after 1,000 years of fusion, and under the situation where the subconscious occupied the absolute dominant position, Miao Xian would be able to obtain the profound meaning of the Heart Sutra from the fusion of yin and yang with him. Even more so, he would never have thought that they would start reciting it in the same space in different positions. Chapter 1345. The golden Buddhist light soared into the sky and spread out in all directions. It was as if it was delivering all living beings from torment, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. It spread, and spread. Chen Hao, who hadn't recited Buddhist scriptures for a long time, inadvertently recited Buddhist scriptures. Suddenly, he had a brand new understanding. In the emptiness, he saw his true self and saw the Dharma of heaven and earth. In the places where his Buddhist light spread, Chen Hao felt the pressure of the immortal emperor's coffin turn into gusts of wind. It didn't avoid him, but instead dissipated into the heavens and earth, as if it had been purified. As for his own mind, it was within the Buddhist light. Like tentacles, it could clearly feel the pulse of the heavens and earth, as if it was alive. Looking down on the world, spread, and spread. Chen Hao was immersed in the feeling of controlling the heavens and earth and looking down on the world. He felt his primordial spirit being infinitely enlarged, as if he was stepping on the sun and moon, plucking the stars with his hands. The stars were like fireflies, dancing around him. Of course, Chen Hao was very clear that this was a feeling that transcended to another plane and not the scene in the Emperor's Star Secret Realm. Of course, Chen Hao didn't think that what he was seeing was an illusion, because that was Chen Hao's primordial spirit expanding. This should be the universe before the Emperor's Star Secret Realm was condensed, right? Chen Hao thought to himself. At the same time, almost the same words appeared in another direction, in the heart of another illusory figure. There's someone? Almost at the same time, the two godlike figures, Chen Hao and the other figure, suddenly looked at each other. Boom, 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 boom. The heavens and earth collapsed the moment their gazes, or more accurately, the light of their primordial spirits, met. It's him! It's him! The moment their primordial spirits dissipated, they both recognized each other. However, they were both swallowed by an uncontrollable torrent of subconsciousness. Chi. Their yin spirits were like two poles of a magnet, producing an extremely strong attraction force. They suddenly broke free from the constraints of time and space of this plane and directly intertwined with each other. Under the law of time and space, 20,000 years later, Chen Hao and Miao Xian met in such a way. Once again, they were dominated by their hidden consciousness. Even though they were billions of miles apart, they merged together. The fusion of yin and yang between yin masters. Who would have thought? Emptiness is not different from color, and color is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is color, and color is emptiness. Neither birth nor destruction, neither filth nor purity, neither increase nor decrease. Therefore, the emptiness is colorless. The heart is free of worries. At the same time, each other's Taoist voices appeared in the sober yang spirits of the two at the same time. They did not allow the two of them to have any thoughts at all. They intertwined with everything on their own and connected their states of mind together. The great karmic force that existed between heaven and earth forcefully connected the two of them. The Dharma of Buddhism is boundless. An indescribable feeling spread wildly in Chen Hao and Miao Xian's hearts, stimulating their states of mind. Relatively speaking, Chen Hao was fine. After all, he was much more familiar with the fusion of yin and yang. However, Miao Xian's sober yang spirit was deeply stimulated by the feeling of her yin spirit being dominated by her subconscious mind. This feeling was much stronger than the last time, when yin and yang were completely fused for 1,000 years. Because at that time, Miao Xian's yin and yang spirits were under the control of her subconscious mind. It could be said that she did not have a clear consciousness. When she was awake, it was also the time when the dual cultivation ended peacefully. But now, even though it was only the fusion of yin spirits, it made her feel ashamed to death. Is that really my yin spirit? Is it really my subconscious mind that is controlling it and not evil thoughts? Chen Hao's state of mind was filled with endless ripples. Although he was not as shocked, excited, or confused as Miao Xian, Chen Hao was also very shocked. What the hell? Is this even possible? This is a distance of billions of miles. They can actually fuse with each other through space. He had to admit that this feeling was too *king exciting. Buzz. Just when Chen Hao and Miao Xian were still immersed in shock, the two suddenly had a clear feeling. The entanglement of the yin spirit seemed to have opened a connection between the yang spirits. Chen Hao and Miao Xian simultaneously felt a violent tremor in their bodies. A magical force that broke through the air enveloped the two of them. Not good. Qi. Chen Hao's conscious yang spirit suddenly urged his divine sense. A bright light bloomed between his eyebrows and took one Yishui, who was immersed in his Tao sound, into his mind space. Wan Yishui, who was not mentally prepared and did not know what was going on, seemed to have a clear feeling after entering Chen Hao's mind space. It was as if it was based on some kind of resonance. Or it could be said that under the induction of the aura, Wan Yishui directly activated the mystery of the green silk blue wave technique, which bloomed in the connection with Chen Hao's mind. Senior brother, don't worry about me. At the same time, Qin Yang, who was also immersed in Miao Xian's mysterious Tao sound, was shocked and directly bounced away. At the same time, he heard Miao Xian's rather urgent voice. It was also at this time that Chen Hao and Miao Xian, under the protection of layers of Buddhist light, directly rose into the air and disappeared in a flash. It was like breaking the void. Qin Yang, who woke up from his enlightenment, did not have time to say a word to Miao Xian. He was dumbfounded. Breaking the void? Ascending in broad daylight? Qin Yang could not believe what he saw. His junior sister could disappear from his powerful perception in an instant. He completely lost track of her and did not even leave the slightest trace of her aura. The way she left, it was definitely like breaking the void. It was even stranger than stepping into the Star River Tunnel and the space-time gate. How is this possible? How did junior sister do it? Qin Yang racked his brains, but could not think of any possibility. The only thing that Qin Yang was sure of was that the reason why his junior martial sister had suddenly shattered the void and left while in the midst of her epiphany was definitely related to the complete and profound heart cultivation sutra that she had recited. That was definitely the supreme secret scripture left behind by the primordial immortal emperor. Maybe it's the inheritance left behind by the immortal emperor in this secret realm. When junior sister comprehended to an extremely high level, some kind of restriction was activated, and junior sister was directly summoned in. Yes, it must be like that. Qin Yang finally thought of the immortal emperor's inheritance in this secret realm. It's very likely to be in the immortal emperor's coffin, or it's the azure cloud staircase. Qin Yang quickly deduced these two places. The reason was very simple. Until now, in the entire Emperor Star secret realm, only the immortal emperor's tomb and the azure cloud staircase were the most anticipated and unexplored places. It must be the place where the immortal emperor's strongest inheritance was. It was basically impossible for the other places. It's most likely to be in the immortal emperor's coffin. With such a powerful pressure here, one must have a strong state of mind to constantly approach it. This heart cultivation sutra might be the key to opening the immortal emperor's coffin, and Junior Sister comprehended its essence. She obtained the qualifications to enter, or perhaps the qualifications to receive the inheritance. Chapter 1346. But this is the Emperor's Star's secret realm, where the spirits of all living things exist. The final battle should be the Azure Cloud Stairs. With Junior Sister in the coffin, I don't have to go. It's useless even if I go. Azure Cloud Stairs. Spirits of all living things? If they dare to touch Junior Sister, I will kill them. Qin Yang thought he had guessed Miao Xian's situation correctly. He gave up on the immortal emperor's coffin and returned to the Azure Cloud Stairs outside the immortal emperor tomb. It had to be said that Qin Yang's judgment was quite strong. Just from the Heart Sutra and the way Miao Xian left by breaking the void, he could infer a reasonable path. It was just that he had guessed the real mastermind wrong. The Buddhist doctrine was boundless. The karma was connected, the yin spirit was mixed, and the yang spirit was pulled. In the same space, the two chanted the supreme scriptures of the Buddhist sect at the same time, creating a resonance between heaven and earth. The karma was connected, the yin spirit intersected, and then the physical body and yang spirit broke the void with the help of the Buddhist karma between heaven and earth. Buzz. F***CK. However, after Chun Hao broke the void, he left in the direction of the immortal emperor's coffin. In order to avoid Miao Xian, Chun Hao and Miao Xian were on the two sides of the immortal emperor's coffin. If there was no immortal emperor's coffin between them, Chun Hao and Miao Xian would definitely meet in the middle. Because the karma was the medium and the yin spirit intersected as the pulling force, the speed of the two was the same. However, due to the incomparably powerful coffin of the celestial emperor, Chun Hao, who was very close to it, was directly obstructed as soon as he broke through the void. His speed was directly reduced to a snail's pace. It felt as if he was originally swimming in water, but suddenly he was swimming in sticky glue. This is the inside of the immortal emperor's coffin? Chun Hao was a little confused. After 10,000 years of hard work, he was only 100 miles away. Now he was directly in the immortal emperor's coffin, but he was completely helpless. Because he was still in the void, approaching Miao Xian at a snail's pace. On the other side, Miao Xian was moving faster and faster. Within a second, she was hundreds of millions of miles away. Under the protection of the magical Buddha light, Miao Xian wouldn't be affected by the twisting force of space. The only feeling she had was that it was magical, mysterious, shocking, and frightening about what would happen next. How could this be? How could such a shameful, bizarre, and even absurd thing happen? However, none of this was something that Miao Xian could control. Just as Chun Hao was about to pass through the narrow space where the immortal emperor's coffin was, Miao Xian's graceful figure tore through the air at lightning speed. Miao Xian, who had entered the celestial emperor's coffin, moved forward like a snail, just like Chun Hao. Miao Xian looked at Chun Hao, who was covered in the same sacred Buddhist light as her, and her heart was filled with complex emotions. Chun Hao, who was still in the appearance of a fat man, looked at Miao Xian's embarrassed and indignant appearance. Suddenly, he felt very happy. Was he and this girl going to be forced by God? It was just chanting a sutra, and he could summon her from billions of miles away to his side. Moreover, she couldn't help but get closer and closer. This was really too joyful, even though both of them felt like they were being chased by God. Don't touch me, F***CK. Do you think I want to touch you? Don't come near me if you dare. I suspect you're the one who did this. What does it have to do with me? Isn't the Heart Sutra yours? You must have known about this situation, and you did it on purpose. Please remove this state. Otherwise, this time, I will kill you. I'm sorry. If there was even the slightest possibility, I wouldn't want to see you. Otherwise, why would I take such a long detour? Not to mention with you. I'm powerless. Can't you control your yin spirit? Nonsense. When the time comes, can you control your yin spirit? Miao Xian looked at the fat man who was giving tit for tat, refusing to back down, and was very annoying. She finally despaired, and she had the urge to cry. Was this fate? She had only heard senior brother's words and understood something, and then she understood something. If the previous time was an accident, this time could only be described as bizarre. How could there be such a strange sutra in the world? I will kill you. Miao Xian closed her eyes, and the tears in her eyes immediately fell. Although she had said something ruthless, but that look, it was as if she had surrendered to fate. Chun Hao's anger rose. He originally wanted to retaliate, but when he saw the woman crying, especially the woman he had gotten his hands on, he couldn't bear it. Putting himself in her shoes, no one would be able to take it if they were forced to have sex twice in a row. Ha ha! Chun Hao suddenly laughed shamelessly. It's not your fault, and it's also not my fault. I can only say that we have been raped by God. Compared to God, we are too weak and can't resist at all. So, since you can't resist, I advise you to accept it calmly, close your eyes, and enjoy it. Don't worry, I will be very gentle. Scram. Sorry, I can't scram. Their yin spirits were still rolling in the sky, but their sober yang spirits were bickering. One of them didn't care. He was a scoundrel who wouldn't suffer any losses, while the other wished he could kill the other. It was very dramatic, but it was very real. The fusion of the yin spirit's subconscious and the gathering of the Buddha's karma. At this moment, under the strong force of the two subconscious, it was impossible to separate the yin spirits. And the fusion of the yin spirits led to the yang spirits getting closer, and eventually it would evolve to a certain extent, and it would be unavoidable. I will not forgive you, damn fatty Li Yuan. One day, you will regret everything you have done to me. Sorry, I didn't do anything. The cause is you, and the effect is God. I am just a victim, you have to understand. The two were still slowly approaching each other like snails. At this moment, they were only a foot apart, and when they spoke, they could feel each other's breath. Chi! Miao Xian glared at Chun Hao. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say anything. Her face revealed a resolute expression. The space between her eyebrows suddenly shook, and a bright light bloomed from her spiritual altar. Then, her entire body went limp. Chun Hao was speechless. Who said that one can only close their eyes and enjoy it when they can't resist? You can even fall unconscious. You can completely destroy your own consciousness and fall into an unconscious, muddle-headed state. Damn, isn't brother's luck and love very awesome? How can this woman's self-control be so strong? In spirit, half of her is already in a state of infatuation. Even for me, I can't resist this kind of teasing from the other half, but she can be so straightforward. Chun Hao couldn't help but praise. Chapter 1347. In such a situation, the interest and passion that had just arisen in Chun Hao's heart suddenly became a little dampened. An unconscious woman completely dominated by the subconscious and a conscious woman, the psychological feeling was absolutely different. There was no comparison. It was completely different. If you are ruthless, how can I be ruthless? If you are ruthless enough, I have to be ruthless enough. Chi. Thinking of this, Chun Hao gritted his teeth, suppressed the desire in his heart, and suddenly urged his divine thoughts to completely destroy his mind, and instantly lost consciousness. What you did to me, I will do to you. Although Chun Hao was awake alone and felt better, Chun Hao didn't want to fall into this woman's body. The best way was not to close his eyes and enjoy, but to pass out and do whatever he wanted. This was only fair. Buzz. Buzz. Subsequently, Chun Hao and Miao Xian, whose consciousness had collapsed, their physical bodies and yang spirits became under the influence of the yin spirit subconscious. They once again fell into the same situation as the first time they used each other to heal each other. After a gap of 20,000 years, yin and yang blended together again. Wan Yishui, who had been taken into Chun Hao's mind and spontaneously cooperated with Chun Hao to activate the green silk blue wave technique. At this moment, her mind was also in a state of connection with Chun Hao's mind, and she fell into a muddle-headed state. The situation of the three people, except for the point that one Ishui entered Chunhao's mind, was the same as the first time Liang Wanyan changed. The difference was that the last time they were combined to heal each other, but this time it was the Heart Sutra of pineapple honey. When the two people's bodies finally touched and began the most primitive human movement without stopping, the Tao sound did not disappear because of the connection of the bridge of heaven and earth. Instead, it bloomed directly from the fusion of the two people's souls, reaching a true unity. It resounded in the whole coffin of the immortal emperor, and lotus flowers floated out. The golden Buddha's light illuminated every inch of space. The terrifying pressure from the coffin was like a docile lamb under the sacred golden Buddha's light. It posed no threat to Chunhao and Miao Xian. On the contrary, it was dissipating bit by bit. The robust and powerful Chunhao, the graceful and exquisite Miao Xian, and the beautiful and delicate Miao Xian were like dragons and phoenixes, and they were charming and gentle. However, no matter if it was Chunhao or Miao Xian, they should have been lustful and seductive in this kind of endless charm. However, in the vast and mighty Tao sound, under the Buddha light, their naked bodies and expressions were blooming with a kind of sacred radiance. How did it look like they were having sex? This feeling gave this movement a sacred aura. In fact, in terms of the great cause of human reproduction, this was indeed the most sacred thing. Unfortunately, the vast majority of living beings were controlled by lustful thoughts. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The two of them floated in the void, just like that. As the pressure from the coffin dissipated bit by bit, the two of them slowly approached the core. Under this kind of subconscious state, time flowed quickly like water. 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 500,000 years, 1,000,000 years. Fatty should have been in the Emperor Star's secret realm for 1,000,000 years. In the immortal world, Si Xian, the girls, coiling dragon, and the others gathered together and muttered. Now, the girls, Chun Nan, coiling dragon, and the others had already stepped into the great world of CND for more than 300 years. Other than the little nurse Lu Hui, who had left alone, they had all joined a first-rate academy. With so many people, and each and every one of them with outstanding talent, they naturally became one of the top battle squad within the same realm in the academy. Of course, that was only in the great world of CND. In the immortal world, they were all born in the ancient chaos great thousand world. If the space-time laws in the Emperor Star secret realm are really 3,000 times, then it has indeed been 1,000,000 years. I wonder how Hao is doing in there. After such a long time, he is unable to reach the Hongmeng realm and can only break through the limits of the Grand Luo realm. When he comes out, he will definitely be an unrivaled Grand Luo realm. Hu Meinyang said softly. Unknowingly, the current her had completely retracted her natural charm. Compared to the past her, she looked many times more simple. To be able to do this, it was clear that she had cultivated the Mortal Heart Sutra to a state of returning to simplicity and being able to freely release it. If Chunhao saw this, he would definitely be very gratified. He would also feel slightly relieved. It couldn't be helped. Hu Meinyang's charm that came from her bones was simply too attractive. If Chunhao was by her side, it would be fine. If he wasn't by her side, even if he didn't have to worry about Hu Meinyang having a change of heart, he would still have to worry about the strong occupying her. It's a pity that it has only been 300 years. The dean said that even if he can come out, it will take at least 10,000 years. Si Xian frowned and sighed. In the hearts of the girls, the immortal legend couldn't hide the faint longing on her face. However, the girls didn't seem to find it strange. Obviously, they already knew about the shameless Chan Hao and Si Xian's illicit affair. That was within their expectations. Why is your dean so sure that it will take at least 10,000 years? It's not that our dean is certain, but the new generation Sword King, Chun Taishu, said that, in the Emperor Star Mystic Realm, the cultivators who enter must reach a certain level of strength before they can break through the void and return to the immortal Emperor's great thousand world. That requirement is the requirement for the reincarnation of the immortal emperor. Therefore, under normal circumstances, an ordinary person will never be able to come out. If it isn't for the fact that they can't comprehend the required realm, if it isn't for the fact that they become a stepping stone for the reincarnation of the immortal emperor and die in the secret realm, how shouldn't need that long? Chun Shui said. The mysterious Grand Tao outline, countless profound scriptures, plus his abnormal comprehension. I believe maybe he will come out very soon. Who knows? He might even be able to make it in time for this year's inter-school competition. If that's the case, then that's great. Chen Yin said. Anything is possible. Helian Wuzi glanced at Chun Hao. She, who was as cold as the moon, softly said something that Chun Hao would occasionally say to them. Sister Si Xian, if there's news about him, we will be able to meet in this year's inter-school competition. After the inter-school competition, we will be able to choose a new school. Yes, at that time we will meet. Si Xian said with a slight smile. Her gaze swept across the beautiful faces one by one. Although she didn't show it on the surface, she felt slightly disappointed in her heart. Compared to the young girls, as a former immortal legend, she no longer had any advantages. Chapter 1348. Si Xian's third life, Xiao Feng, was still immersed in the Hongming domain of the ancient chaos boundless universe. Perhaps her situation would improve after she came out of her third life and truly fused with it. Sister-in-law Si Xian, please inform us immediately if there's any news. In order to prepare for the upcoming Academy ranking tournament, we can only take turns logging into the immortal realm to receive news from you. Chen Nan said solemnly. Chen Nan addressed Si Xian as sister-in-law in a serious manner. After learning about Si Xian and Chun Hao's basic situation, Chen Nan chose to address Si Xian as sister-in-law. Si Xian gave a perfunctory reply and didn't object. Since her heart belonged to someone, she naturally hoped that she would be able to obtain the reputation she deserved. At this moment, Chun Nan, who had already stepped into the Grand Miss Supremacy realm, was even stronger than Si Xian. If Chun Hao was here, he would definitely discover that Chun Nan's aura was shockingly similar to Qing Yang's Sword Emperor physique. His heart was simple and pure. He had no attachments, no desires, and no desires. His only obsession was to be able to follow in his brother's footsteps and become his right-hand man. No one could understand how firm and pure Chun Nan's was after his body and soul had been destroyed once. He was very clear that his brother's goal was to step onto the peak of the martial Tao. If he wanted to follow in his brother's footsteps, then he must also step onto the peak of the martial Tao. This was his pure and simple feelings. There were no feelings between men and women, not even the slightest bit of desire between men and women. He truly had no desires, truly had no attachments. This was a kind of strength of the heart. It was definitely a strength that belonged to a martial fanatic. You guys prepare well. Your brother originally wanted to use the names Chan Ritian and Li Yuan to shake the world and let your parents and master receive news of him and reunite as soon as possible. However, his current situation is unclear. The Academy ranking tournament will depend on you guys. Understood. This Academy ranking tournament is the best opportunity, Chen Nan said with a resolute gaze. Before brother returns, I will definitely find my parents and master. Just do your best. That's it then. I also have to go down and prepare. All right, everyone left the immortal world. 300 years wasn't much, but Chun Shui, Chun Nan, and so many other top geniuses had joined a first-rate academy together. They were definitely a giant existence. Although many people were drooling over the beauties and talents of these girls, no one dared to try. This was because of the existence of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realms Chun Nan, Pan Long, Du Jing, Itoda, and Lan Feng. Sister-in-law. This form of address was like a gust of wind that had already spread throughout the academy they were in. Moreover, they were all sisters-in-law. Countless covetous cultivators were guessing who Chan Shui, Hu Meinyang, Helian Wuzi, and the others, who were called sisters-in-law by Chan Nan and the others, belonged to. who had such a powerful ability to conquer so many beautiful women and still get along with them peacefully. This was what everyone was curious about. Chun Nan and the others shouldered the task of protecting their sister-in-law. Of course, it was only the task of cleaning up the flies. In fact, even if they did not do anything, Chen Shui, Hu Meinyang, and the others would not have any problems unless they encountered the top monstrous geniuses in the great world of C&D. In a first-rate academy, it was still very safe, especially when there were so many of them. Sister-in-law, are you looking for us for something? Is that shameless thing pestering you again? In the deepest part of the academy, in a group of palaces that were many times more powerful than the top 10 palaces, Monkey Ao Guang looked at Si Xian, who had summoned them, and asked with rising battle intent. This was a temporary cultivation treasure ground, specially provided for all the disciples who had obtained the qualifications for the academy ranking competition. There were a total of 100 palaces in the Daluo Golden Wonderland area. Those who participated in the 100-person team competition had the highest score. In the academy ranking competition, there were no restrictions. Anyone could sign up for it, even if they were rogue cultivators. Of course, if they were academy disciples, after obtaining results, the academy's total score would be increased. No, don't. Don't bother with him. I can handle it. I'm here to tell you something, Si Xian said. Sister-in-law, if there's anything, just say it. With me, Ling Feng here, I guarantee that there won't be any problems. Sister-in-law, say it. Ao Guang glared at Ling Feng, who was shamelessly acting like a boss. In this inter-school competition, in the team competition, I hope that you guys can listen to the Pavilion Master and Dean's words and work together with Chun Ritian. About this, sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about it. Although boss isn't here, the three of us have already cooperated quite well. Nothing will happen. Although Chun Ritian's strength is mediocre, he can't help us much. It's better for us to go our own way. That's right. I hate people who act cool, especially those who act cool in front of me. Sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about this. It's impossible to work together with him. Before the academy ranking competition ends, it's already good enough that I don't challenge him. First seat, Pui. Sooner or later, I'll beat him to the ground. Sister-in-law, don't talk about the academy's honor. We agreed not to interfere in the team competition, and that's already the limit. Ling Feng stood on the same side as Ao Guang this time. The taciturn Shui Fian didn't say anything and didn't comment. Do I, Chun Ritian, need you guys to work together? At this moment, a cold snort came from one of the palaces. Chun Ritian, who was filled with killing intent, rose up and looked at Ling Feng arrogantly. Challenge me? Anytime. But, do you dare? F***CK. Don't I dare? Boom! Ling Feng's aura surged as he rose into the air. He pointed at Chun Ritian's nose and said angrily, "Looks like you've improved a little. Unfortunately, it's still not enough. The three of you, come at me together. If you lose or tie, you have to obey me in this team competition. If you win, I'll obey you." Chun Ritian said coldly. Chi. At this moment, there was a sudden fluctuation in the air. Three figures appeared together. They were the Dean of the Dahua Pavilion, the Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion, and the Pavilion Master of the True Martial Pavilion. This will work. Dean Cheng Wanxiang swept his gaze over the crowd and said with a smile, "Come, this old man will stand guard for you. Feel free to fight to your heart's content. And let's begin. In the team competition, a dragon cannot be without a leader. If a dragon and a tiger become kings at the same time, it will seriously affect the team's unity and combat power. Ritian, you're going against three. Don't fail miserably. Be careful." The Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion looked at Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Shui Fian with disdain and said, F***CK. What do you mean by failing miserably? F***CK. Ao Guang and Ling Feng were pissed. However, they could only be pissed in their hearts. It was disrespectful to scold the Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion. No matter how lawless they were, they wouldn't dare to do that. Shameless. Are you sure you want to challenge the three of us? Ling Feng said unhappily. Nonsense. Chun Ritian, was too lazy to say more. The soaring battle intent around him said it all. He wanted absolute leadership. Chen Hao's will was his will. That was one of the reasons. Even without Chen Hao's will, Chen Ritian wanted to win supreme providence for himself. The college ranking battle was undoubtedly his chance. Chapter 1349. All right, see you in front of the pagoda's steal a day before we depart. Ling Feng, A.O. Guang, and Xue Fian made their decision. The three of them were unhappy, but fortunately, they didn't lose their heads and decided to fight right away. A day before they depart, 3 years later. There were only 3 years left before the 1,000-Year Academy ranking competition officially began. During these 3 years, the various academies would use all kinds of resources to help their chosen disciples improve. The 100 palaces in the Daluo Golden Wonderland that were even more powerful than the top 10 palaces were one of the resources the Dahua Academy provided to A.O. Guang and the rest. A day before we depart? It's only 3 years. I'll wait, Chen Ritian said indifferently. He glanced at Si Xian and left expressionlessly. Even the dean and the rest didn't say a word of courtesy. They were cold to the extreme. Time was nothing in his eyes. No matter how much A.O. Guang and the rest improved, he was also improving. He had absolute confidence that he could suppress the three of them. Moreover, what was 3 years to them? It was just an instant. Even with the resources provided by the academy, it was under equal conditions. What was there to fear? Chen Ritian already knew that his main body had entered the Emperor's Star's secret realm. Therefore, he didn't have a good impression of Dean Sheng Wanxiang. Why did he choose his main body and not him? No matter what, the battle back then was a draw. The chief disciple hadn't been decided yet, but the dean didn't even inform him and directly chose his main body, Chen Hao, and now, although he didn't know the situation in the Emperor's Star secret realm, he was certain that his main body would return sooner or later. At least for now, he was fine. He was certain of this. As his main body's eighth anima, there was a connection between them. Once his main body died, the restrictions on him and the other animus would disappear. They would definitely be able to sense it. In the core of the Emperor's Star secret realm, inside the immortal Emperor's coffin, Chen Hao and Miao Xian's subconscious were intertwined. The sound of the Heart Sutra filled the air, and lotus flowers floated, blooming with Buddhist light. The terrifying pressure of the coffin's down marks was constantly dissipating. The two of them quietly approached the core of the coffin. Time flew by, and 1,000,000 years passed. A single dual cultivation lasted for such a long time, and there were no signs of it ending. It was simply inconceivable. Unless the two of them were under the control of their subconscious, it was impossible for them to be in a conscious state. Their cultivation was not enough to endure such loneliness. However, the subconscious didn't have this problem. It only decided the duration based on the two's specific situation. After the two entered the coffin, the combination of the Tao sounds of the Heart Sutra and the fusion of Yin and Yang barely reached the true impenetrable state. They barely resisted the pressure of the Tao marks from the coffin. Once the fusion stopped, it wouldn't be as simple as just stopping. It would bring destruction to the two, the destruction of their bodies and souls. How could he not have sensed the danger with his powerful instincts? Why would they stop it? In fact, although Qin Yang's guess was wrong, part of it was correct. Chen Hao and Miao Xian did indeed activate the immortal Emperor's coffin because they chanted the Heart Sutra. At that time, Chen Hao and Miao Xian were connected by karma. Because Chen Hao's Yin spirit was awakened and reconstructed by Miao Xian's Yin spirit, it could be said that they had the same aura. Therefore, when they discovered each other, they were directly affected by the subconscious and entered the fusion. Then, they attracted the other party's body. However, Chen Hao, who was very close to the immortal Emperor's coffin, was the first to enter the coffin. His speed immediately slowed down, as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Until Miao Xian also entered the coffin, he couldn't rush out of the coffin. In fact, it was impossible for him to rush out of the coffin. The Tao marks of the coffin's core had a stronger effect on him and Miao Xian. Even if Chun Hao used the inertia to rush out of the coffin and meet up with Miao Xian, they would both be sucked into the coffin. Because Chun Hao chanted the Heart Sutra at a close distance, his state of mind met the requirements to open the coffin. And because of Chun Hao and Miao Xian's fusion, Miao Xian's aura was also sensed by the coffin's restriction. What Qin Yang didn't expect was that the immortal emperor's coffin in this secret realm was even more terrifying than the Azure Cloud Staircase. The Azure Cloud Staircase could allow one to leave, but any cultivator who exited the staircase would be affected by the immortal emperor's Tao origin and step onto his Tao. This didn't affect the immortal emperor's spirits much. After they matured, they would reach the peak of the immortal emperor's realm. After all, that was his Tao. However, for other cultivators, it might not be a suitable Tao for them. In the future, it might even become a shackle for them. But the immortal emperor's coffin was different. Pure Tao Mar pressure, pure tempering of one state of mind. Only when the conditions were met could it be activated and entered. If one didn't go through the tempering and step out of the Emperor's Star secret realm, they would have to give up their original immortal emperor's Tao to pursue the Tao, or they would die inside and reform their spirits. Of course, this was for the immortal emperor's spirits. For other cultivators like Chun Hao, they would die. Hiss. On this day, the naked Chun Hao and Miao Xian finally arrived at the center of the coffin after 1,000,000 years of drifting. It was also at this moment that the coffin suddenly released an incomparably resplendent white light that soared into the sky. Boom! Chi! In an instant, the white light seemed to have connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths, thousands of galaxies, and an ancient galaxy tunnel appeared out of nowhere. Wong! Chun Hao and Miao Xian were instantly enveloped by a terrifying, profound aura and disappeared into the galaxy tunnel in a flash. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The instant Chun Hao and Miao Xian disappeared into the galaxy tunnel, the entire immortal emperor's coffin began to explode. In an instant, it was completely annihilated. Boundless Tao laws and energy flew towards the azure cloud stairs in the distance. The immortal emperor's coffin was sealed. What happened? The cultivators who were still alive in the Emperor's Star secret realm looked at the void in shock as they sensed the terrifying shaking of the heavens and earth. As for the experts who were comprehending on the azure cloud stairs, no matter how many steps they stepped on, they could clearly feel the azure cloud stairs tremble slightly. Impossible, impossible. Someone actually passed through the coffin. On the 2,999th step of the azure cloud staircase, a handsome figure was sitting cross-legged. A golden rune was flickering between his eyebrows, mysterious and sacred. If a knowledgeable cultivator were to see this, they would definitely be shocked to the core. Godhead, the legendary godhood that only immortal emperors had. However, this figure's aura clearly couldn't be that of an immortal emperor, but a fully awakened spirit of all living beings. At this moment, his eyes were resplendent, and his expression was filled with deep shock. Has the current world of cultivation already reached such a high level of power? As the spirit of all living beings here, I've tried countless times, but the price was always collapse. I had no choice but to choose the previous Tao, but someone actually passed through the coffin in such a short time. How is this possible? Chapter 1350. Looks like I can't wait any longer. Once the coffin's aura fuses with the azure cloud staircase, I'm afraid I'll have to spend countless years. The world has changed. I'll keep a low profile and re-embark on the path of the immortal emperor. Break for me. Boom. The soul of all living things pondered for a moment before making a decision. He, who had been waiting on the 2,999th level, activated his mind and raised the mysteries of the 2,999th level to the extreme. The door to the 3,000th level opened. Chi, like the coffin of the immortal emperor, the space-time door appeared and the soul of all living things entered it. The azure cloud staircase, which was already shaking, shook even more violently at this moment. The mysteries of each level of the azure cloud staircase suddenly became stronger. Break! Chi! Suddenly, just as the exit of the azure cloud staircase was about to close and the space-time door was about to disappear, a clear and loud shout was heard. A figure broke through the air like a sword and rushed out through the door opened by the soul of all living things. What? The soul of all living things let out a final cry of surprise and was transported away by the space-time door. Phew! Just in time, just in time. Any later, and I'll have to wait for a long time. Qin Yang's figure stood proudly like a sword, allowing himself to be pulled in by the space-time door and disappeared in a flash. Immediately, the door closed and the space-time door disappeared. More than 10,000 years ago, Qin Yang had rushed to the azure cloud staircase. However, after entering the first level, he discovered the secret of the azure cloud staircase because of his connate Sword Emperor constitution. It was a Tao that did not belong to him at all. His Tao was the Tao of the sword, a pure Tao of the sword. He had no desires, no thoughts, no self, no heart, and was almost invulnerable. How could he be influenced by someone else's Tao? Therefore, even if Qin Yang, who had a heaven-defying state of mind and was at the consummate stage, was immersed in the azure cloud staircase to comprehend, he could still remain untainted. Moreover, he did not seek a deep understanding, only the door of life, and used his Tao of the sword to break through it forcefully. Even so, it took him more than 10,000 years. Fortunately, he broke through to the 2,999th level in the nick of time, just in time for the soul of all living things to open the door to the 3,000th level. Is it the soul of all living things? Its aura is indeed very strong. What happened? Qin Yang thought. Firstly, the mysterious aura of the azure cloud staircase had become stronger. Secondly, Qin Yang could clearly feel a growing pressure. Although it was still very weak, Qin Yang was sure that it was similar to the pressure from the core of the tomb of the immortal emperor. Shaking his head, Qin Yang could not figure it out. Thus, he gave up. It's good that you're out. The only pity is that junior sister will need some time to come out. I wonder where the space-time gate will teleport you to. It feels like 1,000 changes in an instant. If it doesn't work, I can only inform Master. Qin Yang's mind stirred. He discovered that he already had the ability to connect to the immortal world space, so he was no longer worried. As for whether or not he would be teleported to the same place as the spirits of all things, he was not worried at all. Firstly, it was unlikely. Secondly, he was not afraid. Galaxy Tunnel? However, a short moment later, Qin Yang was slightly taken aback. The place that the space-time gate teleported him to was actually the Star River Tunnel. Hello, brother. I'm Kong Ying. How should I address you? What surprised Qin Yang even more was that the spirits of all things, who had only flashed a glance before, kept changing directions to offset the transmission of the Milky Way tunnel. After waiting for him to arrive, they greeted him with a smile. Hello, I am Qin Yang. Qin Yang was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and cupped his fists. Brother Qin Yang, you have the innate Sword Emperor body, and you've reached the Daluo Jinxian perfection stage. No wonder you could reach the top so quickly. You flatter me. Brother Kong, Ying should be the spirits of all things in the Emperor Star's secret realm. Right? That's right. Did something happen to the Azure Cloud Stairs just now? I feel that a pressure similar to the immortal Emperor's coffin is about to appear. Moreover, the profound mysteries contained within are also starting to become stronger. Brother Qin Yang's senses are not bad. That's indeed the case. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come out so early. The pressure that is growing is from the immortal Emperor's coffin. The profound mysteries contained within are also fusing with the aura of the immortal Emperor's coffin. Because someone has passed the immortal Emperor's coffin's tempering. This is also what I wanted to ask Brother Qin Yang. Do you know who among the cultivators who entered the secret realm with you went to the immortal Emperor's coffin? This person's state of mind is definitely stronger than yours and mine. Qin Yang was slightly surprised. However, he quickly revealed a look of pleasant surprise and said, Brother Kong Ying, You mean that the immortal Emperor's coffin can also step out of the Emperor's star's secret realm? That's right. The person who passed is right in front of us. However, it's too late to chase after him. That's great. Haha. Qingyang immediately laughed heartily. Brother Qingyang, I'm sorry, Brother Kongying. The person who passed the immortal Emperor's coffin should be my junior sister. Her state of mind should indeed surpass mine. Ha! To tell you the truth, I was just worried that my junior sister would only come out after a long time. Oh, my junior sister is born with the body of a sword emperor. She's much stronger than me. Ha! Qingyang was in a good mood. In this world, only his junior sister's matters could make him lose his composure. Amazing. Body of a sword emperor. There's actually such a miraculous woman in this world. Of course, my junior sister's talent and comprehension are both top-notch existences. Brother Kongying, may I ask where this Star River Tunnel leads to? Of course, it leads to the great world of CND. Brother Qingyang, can you tell me about the current situation of the great world of CND? After countless years, although I've awakened, everything is a new beginning. Of course. Qingyang smiled and said. 3 days before Qingyang and the spirit of all living things entered the Star River Tunnel, Chun Hao and Miao Xian, who were naked and tangled together, entered the Star River Tunnel. After all, it would take some time for the coffin of the immortal emperor to be transmitted to the distant green cloud staircase. Chi. Chi. F***CK. At this moment, in the Star River Tunnel, the two people who were still tangled together finally had some changes in their auras. The moment the Tao sound and the Buddhist light disappeared, their bodies suddenly separated. It was the fusion of yin and yang. What kind of concept was that? Miao Xian, the initiator of this, screamed. At the same time, a majestic and terrifying sword light escaped from between her eyebrows and slashed toward Chun Hao, who was lying on the ground with his D***CK broken. How could Chun Hao hesitate? He cursed and directly ran away with his D***CK naked while his D***CK was swaying chaotically in the wind. Li Yuan, get the hell back here. Miao Xian's voice was like a sword piercing through the air. F***CKU. Just you wait. Sooner or later, I'll use my strength to make you, this unruly, willful, rude, unreasonable, unromantic, self-righteous, and conceited shrew, submit wholeheartedly. Sooner or later. I can't wait. Sect ranking competition, individual competition, and sword Dao battle. If you can't get into the top 10, I'll kill you with my own hands. I'll do what I say. Miao Xian's voice was cold and contained an unwavering will, which made Chun Hao shiver all over. Chapter 1351. But the meaning behind Miao Xian's words made Chun Hao feel a little smug. What does it have to do with you whether I participate, how I fight, or what rank I get? Kill me with your own hands? You're still too inexperienced, huh? The fatty knew what Miao Xian meant, but he still deliberately teased her. You don't run if you have the guts. Chase me if you have the guts. Where's your woman? Miao Xian suddenly realized that she couldn't do anything to Chun Hao, so she thought of one Ishui. What? You want to use her to threaten me? Li Yuan, listen to me. I mean what I say. Sword Dao top 10. If you can't do it, I will bring my master to your school and kill you with my own hands. I hate threats the most. You slept with me, so it's good enough that I didn't ask you to take responsibility. You want me to take responsibility for you? I'm sorry, but a woman like you is very annoying. I'm not interested. If you want strong people, there are many who are stronger than me. For example, young Master Saber and Sword Ding Hao, young Master Godspeed, young Master Feng Wuxing. These are only the ones I met in the secret realm. There must be more in the great world of CND. Chen Hao quickly moved to keep a distance from Miao Xian and said with a rascally look. Miao Xian was so angry that her delicate body trembled. She was tongue-tied. How could there be such a shameless man? After 2 consecutive accidents, Miao Xian had to admit that maybe this was really fate. Chun Hao was her destined man, but Chun Hao's strength was not as good as hers. This was something she couldn't tolerate. She thought highly of herself, and thought that her man should be the most famous monster in the world. At the very least, he should be on par with her. Otherwise, she would rather not have him. The reason why she asked Chun Hao to do this was to lower her status and give Chun Hao a chance. But Chun Hao, who had returned to his fat appearance, didn't care about it all. How could Miao Xian not be angry? Okay, since you said so then forget it. It's just a primordialine body. I'll take it as a cheap dog. You and I don't know each other anything. Don't say you know me. Chi. Miao Xian, who had the body of a sword sovereign, was furious. A sharp sword light appeared between her eyebrows. The emotionless sword will spread out in an instant. Shortly after, she sat down cross-legged and closed her eyes. She had actually entered a state of selflessness. This caused Chun Hao to be dumbfounded. Isn't this 2F** king unyielding? I just don't want to be led by the nose by you. Is there a need to react so violently? After all, yin and yang had fused twice, and for such a long time too. Although it was subconscious, it was still a fusion of yin and yang. Chi. Well, I'll be cheap this time. Fu**K. A real man doesn't fight with a woman. I'll let you win, Chun Hao said in his heart. Then, he returned to Miao Xian's side in a flash. Hey, scram. F***CK. What did you just say, cheap dog? Is a dog as handsome as you? Do you really think I won't kill you? Miao Xian's eyes were cold and emotionless, and her voice was emotionless. Hee, if you can't bear to, then you can. The subconscious in the depths of your heart can't bear to as well. Just like how I didn't just leave. What do you think? Miao Xian stared coldly at Chun Hao. Her eyes were emotionless, and she didn't make a sound. This kind of gaze made Chun Hao feel like the first time he saw Miao Xian. This made Chun Hao faintly uneasy. Sword Dao, top 10, right? Your conditions are too harsh. Firstly, I'm not a pure sword cultivator. I have my own Dao. How can you force me to be like you? Secondly, the sect ranking competition is at hand. I've only stepped into the grand heavenly realm for a few years, and I've only been in the great world of CND for a short time. All of you are at the perfection stage. Isn't the requirement for the top 10 a little too high? You scram. F***CK. All right, I'll promise you. But what if I do it? If you can't do it, you'll kill me. If you do it, there'll be benefits, right? Scram. F***CK. Are you done yet? I've already agreed to your unreasonable conditions. What else do you want? A rascal like you doesn't deserve to be my man. Fortunately, you didn't agree in the beginning. You've made me see clearly what kind of person you are. I've said that we don't owe each other anything. We're strangers. Don't bother me again. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. You? Chun Hao choked. What the F***CK? A shameless man. I'm just kidding, all right? There's actually such an unromantic woman in this world. All right, I won't keep you company. Goodbye, we'll never meet again. Chi. Chun Hao, who was a little annoyed, immediately activated the great teleportation technique and disappeared in a flash in the Milky Way tunnel. Fatty, don't try to persuade me anymore. I can't serve such a woman. Do whatever you want. She's obviously activating the emotionless Sword Dao. That's not her real thoughts. Can't you see that? Of course I can see that. But since she's so unyielding and didn't waver even after I gave in twice, why should I force her? She's crazy. F***CK. You two don't have any basis for trust. She misunderstood you as a rascal. That's not entirely wrong. I thought you were a rascal before. Sister Shui, don't say anymore. I made up my mind. You should cultivate first. When the Milky Way tunnel ends, I'll let you out. Chi. Chun Hao directly cut off the connection with Wan Yishui after he finished speaking. Wan Yishui, who was in Chun Hao's mind, could only shake her head. As a bystander, she could clearly see that the two faded yin and yang mingled. Even if it was subconscious, how could there be no trace of feelings? Especially for women. However, Miao Xian and Chun Hao were too proud in their hearts. Without much understanding and feelings, neither of them was willing to lower their heads to the other. It's true that enemies always meet, It's just like how he and I were in the beginning. It's just that the two of them are more intense and destined to have more twists and turns. In short, it's impossible for it to end like this. Maybe one day, when we cultivate, we'll automatically blend together again. Wan Ishue thought to herself. It's really strange. They've automatically blended together twice, and I've automatically fallen into it. Will it be the same in the future? Could it be related to the first time? Wan Ishue couldn't figure it out. She could only verify it in the future. Master, we're almost there. Get ready. Are you sure? Don't worry. It's definitely not wrong. Damn it, you always drop the ball at the crucial moment. If there's an accident, don't blame me for being rude. Absolutely not. Master, I've said that I've been to these places before in my awakened memories. All right, break. Break. Chi. A bright sword light flashed, and a narrow gap was suddenly torn open in the Milky Way tunnel. Shenhao's figure swayed and disappeared into it. This was the closest chaotic space to the great transformed star that Old God had sensed. Buzz. Phew. It's indeed the aura of the great world of CND. Fortunately, of course. Master, in 5 days, you'll definitely reach the barrier of the great world of CND. Moreover, it's close to the great transformed star. Chapter 1352. According to the space-time laws, the new sect ranking competition should start around this time. As long as you're not wrong, we might still be able to make it in time. If you're wrong, we'll be in trouble. Even the old god couldn't give an exact number for the space-time laws. He could only make a rough estimate. Before he entered the Emperor Star's secret realm, there were still 343 years before the new Millennium Sect ranking competition. It was about the same time as when he was in the Emperor Star's secret realm. If he was lucky, he wouldn't have missed it. If he was unlucky, he might have already passed it. I'm definitely not wrong. The more certain you are, the more unreliable I feel. Shenhao wasn't trying to attack the old god. After all, the old god had awakened in the Emperor Star's secret realm. The great world of CND had undergone tremendous changes compared to when the old god had followed the previous master. Even the 3,000 main stars had traces of man-made changes. Master, can you trust me a bit more? What I'm sensing now isn't just my own senses. No matter how much the great transforming star has changed, its origin aura hasn't changed. How can I be wrong? Oh, Shenhao was slightly taken aback. If it's not just you, who else could it be? Could it be that I've awakened something in my mind? No. Master, what I mean is that I've borrowed a bit of the magic treasure's power. How could there be anyone else? Master, let's hurry. The old god hid in the depths of Chunhao's mind. Evidently, he didn't want Chunhao to continue asking. Chunhao didn't force him. At this point, he knew that the old god wouldn't tell him what he shouldn't say. It would be a waste of energy to ask. Fatty. At this moment, Wan Ishue's voice sounded in his mind. We haven't arrived yet. Chunhao replied. I know. The Pavilion Master and the Dean are here to pick us up. Let me out, what? You. The Immortal Realm space can be used. Idiot, the Dean and the Pavilion Master are overjoyed. The sect exchange will begin in half a year. We can make it in time. They know where we are? The Soul Helmet. After we agree, as long as we pay enough, you can locate us. I've already agreed to let the Dean locate me. All right. Fatty, what's your number? I'll add you later when I go in. You should tell me yours. I'll add you when I go in. I'll just wait here? Yes. We'll be there soon. If we're fast, it'll take 3 days. If we're slow, it'll take 5 days. The Dean said that we're in the chaotic space not far from planet Huada. That's great. Old God was actually right. Shenhao stopped flying and landed on a star fragment. At the same time, he released Wan Ishue from his mind space. The chaotic energy and spatial storms were nothing to them. Wan Ishue hugged Chunhao's arm, looked at Chunhao and said, when the Dean and the Pavilion Master come, can you say that you were the one who chased me? Why? Annoying. I'm a girl. How embarrassing. We were fine before we left, but now Don't worry, they won't ask. Maybe they want something to happen between us when they let you go with me. Besides, We've been together for over 1,000,000 years. It'd be weird if nothing happened between us. Don't you think so? Damn fatty, don't say anything when they come. Okay, now you serve me well. There's still at least 3 days. That's enough. No way, Rogue. I still need to enter the celestial realm to lock onto the position of the dean and the others. Don't mess around, I'm going in. One Ishue blushed, but her face was filled with happiness. She activated the soul helmet and merged into the celestial realm. Huh? Shinhao laughed proudly. He pulled the unconscious one Ishue into his arms. Stepping into the celestial realm meant losing all senses of the outside world. This was completely different from the second world of the vast universe galaxy. It was impossible to multitask. This was also the reason why Chunhao didn't think of entering the celestial realm after stepping out of the Emperor Star's secret realm. She's really a woman like water. Chunhao pinched one Ishue's face. The more he looked at it, the more beautiful it became. His lips curled into a smile as he muttered, 2 women in 1 trip to the Emperor Star's secret realm. I've been there for over 1,000,000 years, but Si Xian has only been there for 300 years. 2 women in 300 years. Luckily, I only brought back 1. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to explain myself. Great luck with women. Is this really the effect of great luck with women? Chunhao muttered to himself. Chunhao discovered that this might not be as simple as great luck with women. Firstly, after experiencing so much, Chunhao had to admit that he was naturally dissolute. This was definitely one of the main reasons. Secondly, fate and destiny were mysterious things that not only affected him, but also the women. Just like the prideful Miao Xian, before she met Chunhao, her master had already divined her fated man. What did this have to do with great luck with women? Everything seemed to have been predestined since the beginning, and everything was moving forward along the path of fate. The hand of fate controlled everything. Resisting was fate, but not resisting was also fate. Who could escape? Shaking his head, Chunhao didn't continue to explore. The current him was still unable to enter such a profound domain. Looking at the present, the most important thing was to raise his cultivation. Sword Dao top 10. Half a year. That's very difficult. The experience in the Emperor Star's secret realm made Chunhao truly understand the strength of the geniuses of the great world of CND. They were only the forces of the 5 main stars, but they were already so strong. What if the great world of CND was like? Of course, Xiao Mantian and his wife, young Master Xinxing Feng Wuxing, and young Master Ding Hao are all external aides. But this was enough to show the strength of the great world of CND. Why am I thinking of her again? Chunhao was suddenly stunned. Sword Dao, top 10, was just a condition that Miao Xian had proposed. He had already fallen out with her and parted ways. Subconscious. Is this the function of the subconscious? Damn it. I'm afraid I won't be able to get rid of this prideful woman in the future. Chunhao shrugged helplessly. The desire in the depths of his heart was to use his sword Dao to rush into the top 10 and satisfy her request. It had to be said that this was a very troublesome matter. But what could he do? Huff. Half a year's time is tight. I have to race against time to improve. The best choice is undoubtedly to comprehend the sword Dao inheritance in her primordial lean. It's decided then. Chapter 1353. Wang. Chunhao's mind shook. He sent out a stream of energy to protect himself and Wan Yishui. Then, he entered the state of mind of thoughtless tranquility. He started to comprehend the inheritance of Sword Dao contained in Miao Xian's primordial lean. Without a doubt, this was what Miao Xian wanted Chunhao to do. Only by obtaining the top 10 in the Sword Dao would she be able to truly test the level of Chunhao's comprehension ability. At the same time, it would allow the proud Miao Xian to give an explanation to herself, her master, and her senior brother. She would tell them that the man she was destined to be with wasn't weak and was worthy of her. Chi. A sharp sword light cut through the barrier of the Star River Tunnel, and Miao Xian stepped into the chaotic space. Xian Xian. An old voice suddenly broke through the space and a space-time gate appeared in the chaotic space. The new Sword King, Chun Taishu's figure appeared. Master, woo woo woo. Miao Xian's face was red, and she looked wronged. Although she was already mentally prepared when she informed her master in the immortal realm, she still couldn't help but cry when she saw her master's kind and loving gaze. Silly girl, don't cry. Everything is within my expectations. Being able to come out alive means that the calamity has passed and the opportunity has arrived. Tell your master, who is your destined man? Patting Miao Xian's back, Chen Taishu asked in a loving tone. Chen Taishu wasn't surprised that his disciple had lost her primordialine body, although it came a little early. After all, even if she met her destined man, she wouldn't necessarily lose her primordialine body. However, since she had lost it, as her master, Chen Taishu could only pretend to be calm. Master, I have nothing to do with him anymore. I don't want to talk about him. Xian, what's going on? You've already. How can you have nothing to do with him anymore? Did you two have a conflict? Tell me, who is that brat? If he dares to bully you, I'll skin him alive. Speak. Master, it's not what you think. He didn't bully me. Everything was an accident. He's not worthy of me. He's a scoundrel. Master, I'll forget him. Don't ask anymore, Miao Xian said. Hearing Miao Xian's words, Chen Taishu frowned. The problem seemed to be more complicated than he had imagined. After pondering for a while, he said, Ding Hao, or Feng Formless, or the spirits of all living things in the Emperor's Star secret realm. That's not it. Then tell Master, who is he? Chen Taishu's eyes were suddenly filled with endless majesty as he asked unquestionably. The Sword King realm was a pure sword cultivator at the true Immortal King realm. How sharp was his gaze? How could he not see that there was a serious problem with his precious disciple's state of mind that went against the way of the sword? Master, tell Master who he is and what happened. Don't lie. Also, retract your emotionless Sword Dao aura and treat it normally. Master is, under the influence of her master's powerful state of mind, Miao Xian was unable to resist. Soon, Miao Xian tearfully recounted her experience of being unable to resist. At the same time, she also told him about Chun Hao's identity and the quarrel after they came out of the Celestial Emperor's coffin together. Great Star Academy's Li Yuan. Great change technique, great teleportation technique, great 5 elements technique, powerful cultivation heart sutra, undying bloodline, illusion breaker ability. Even if he's not as good as you, the difference isn't too big. According to what you said, his life force is much younger than yours. His potential is immeasurable. Also, you said that he went to the Azure Cloud Staircase, right? It should be. The news I received is that he took the Azure Cloud Staircase. It should be correct. But then he went to the Celestial Emperor's coffin. If it's true, then we can be sure that he's the reincarnation of the Celestial Emperor. It's a pity 3,000 Tao Supreme Arts and you can't be sure? Master, what do you mean? Miao Xian didn't understand. Legend has it that before anyone obtains the inheritance of the Grand Tao, they won't be able to cultivate 3 Tao Supreme Arts to the extreme. But that's just a legend. A true genius with great talent and comprehension will definitely be able to do it. As for the Azure Cloud Staircase, according to my guess, it should be the original Celestial Emperor who used his own Tao and condensed it according to the Emperor's Celestial Staircase. Ordinary people won't be able to feel anything, but people like you and your senior brother, who are pure sword cultivators, can feel that it's not compatible with their own Tao. The reason Li Yuan left should be the former. So it's a pity. If he wasn't the Celestial Emperor, his talent and comprehension would definitely be stronger. Oh, it doesn't matter. Master, I have no relationship with him anymore. Huh, Xian, why force yourself? In front of me, you don't have to be stubborn. Do you think I'll laugh at you? A sword cultivator's heart and mouth are as one. You're going against your own heart. Also, you and Li Yuan are underestimating the power of the subconscious. You don't have to do anything. That kid will naturally give in. Of course, you can't use the emotionless Sword Dao to suppress your own heart and do something too overboard. Master, Miao Xian was angry and acted like a spoiled little girl. In front of her master, where was the domineering empress? At this moment, she indeed felt that her heart was being controlled by some kind of emotion. She didn't want to cut off all ties with Chun Hao. However, she didn't want to be together with Chun Hao. It was very contradictory, but it was a conflict between her conscious mind and her subconscious mind. Let's go. I'll bring you to the Dai Hua Academy. Master, why are we going there? I don't want to go. What? You don't want to listen to me anymore? I've told you before that if there's a problem, you have to face it. No matter when, running away isn't the solution. This is especially true for us sword cultivators. But I don't want to face him now, unless he can fulfill my conditions. I didn't say that I want you to face him. I only want you to join the Daiwa Academy. Originally, I wanted you to come out after the Emperor's Star's secret realm. No, Master, I want to join Academy. I want to join the strongest academy. I definitely won't compromise my future for anyone. Moreover, Master, I'm a woman. How can I throw myself at him? What you say makes sense. All right, since that's the case, I'll do as you say. However, I'll remind you that since he already has a Dao companion before you, you have to be a little competitive. Master, please don't always think about problems from the perspective of a man, okay? Cough, cough. All right, I don't seem to know much about this. I'll leave it up to you. If there's any trouble, just tell me. Let's see how I'll vent my anger on you. Hee, that's more like it. Then let's go chase the deer. Let's go. I'll send you over first. If there's no accident, your senior brother should be coming out soon. Chapter 1354. The immortal emperor's coffin had already been destroyed. Chen Taishu knew very well that with Qing Yang's strength, his disciple would not be trapped in the azure cloud staircase for long. However, it was hard to say if he would be able to make it in time for the Academy ranking tournament. After all, there was only half a year left. Zhulu Academy was the strongest academy in the great world of CND, the #1 academy. It could be said that it was the place where the strongest geniuses and the luckiest people in the great world of CND gathered. Countless cultivators racked their brains trying to get in. As long as they could step into it, it meant that they had a bright future. Miao Xian, who had the body of a sword emperor and was the most malleable Daluo Golden Wonderland, would be able to enter it easily. Furthermore, she would undoubtedly become a key nurturing target. Not to mention that she was the disciple of the new Sword King, Chen Taishu. Compared to the Star River King and King Ying, the two king-level powerhouses from hundreds of millions of years ago, Chen Taishu could only be considered a rising star, but his fame was already on par with the two of them. He was an existence that every academy would want to curry favor with, even if he had not established any forces. However, Chen Taishu couldn't reveal his identity, and Miao Xian had to hide her real appearance and aura and join in with a disguised identity. Otherwise, she wouldn't need to train. Who would dare to fight with her? 3 days after Chen Taishu took Miao Xian to Zhulu Academy, Qin Yang, who had been with Kong Ying the spirit of all things, finally broke through the barrier of the Star River Tunnel and stepped into the chaotic space, separating from Kong Ying. Only then did he feel relieved to open the immortal world space and send 2 messages, one to his master Chen Taishu and the other to his junior sister Miao Xian. What he didn't expect was that Miao Xian was here. Miao Xian, who was also being carried on the journey, was immersed in the immortal realm space in her master's mind. She didn't expect that senior martial brother Qin Yang would come out so soon. Chen Taishu and Miao Xian locked onto Qin Yang's position and rushed over. After that, Qin Yang and Miao Xian set foot on the road to Zhulu Academy. Planet Dahua Academy. Above the palace complex, which was specially provided for the strongest 100 people in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, the void suddenly split open, and a space-time gate appeared. 2 figures stepped out. They were none other than Dean Sheng Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shalin of the True Martial Pavilion. Chi. The moment the 2 of them stepped out, 2 beams of light shone from Cheng Wanxiang's forehead. Chen Hao and Wan Yishui immediately appeared. We're here. Little fatty, Yishui, Did you prepare one palace or two? Originally, the 100 palaces were already full, but I didn't expect you to return so quickly. Old man, I will personally refine them for you. 2. 1. Ishue bluntly said, her pretty face flushed red. I'm fine with anything. The fatty shrugged his shoulders, looking indifferent. 2. Principal Pavilion Master, I'll return to my palace first. Chi. Wan Ishue saw that many cultivators nearby had noticed them, especially some cultivators that she knew. There was even a troublemaker brother from her battle team who was staring at her with his mouth agape. She immediately felt extremely shy and wanted to find a hole to hide in. There was nothing she could do about it. After all, before she left, she still had a primordialine body. After returning for more than 300 years, she had actually become a proper woman. This change was too fast, and it was very embarrassing. Therefore, Wan Ishue left as soon as he finished speaking. Chi. Immediately, the troublemaker brother leaped into the air and chased after Wan Ishue. Ishue, congratulations. Is it Brother Fatty? Don't worry, I'm not a troublemaker. I definitely won't tell the haggard, He Ming, who misses you day and night. We'll talk about it later. Wan Ishue replied. Suddenly, her body trembled with a hum, and she actually disappeared. If that wasn't the great teleportation technique, then what was it? And it had reached a very high level. The troublemaker brother and the other cultivators who discovered the principal, Chun Hao, and the others were all dumbfounded. Especially those who knew Wan Ishue's situation. They were even more shocked. Oh my God, this improvement is too terrifying. That aura, that speed. I'm not a troublemaker. Should I tell him? Should I? No matter what, He Ming is my brother. The sooner I tell him, the sooner he can end his unrequited love. Poor child. Sob. Chi. The troublemaker brother took a deep look at the fatty in the distance and left in a flash. Damn, why wasn't I a beauty? Although this fatty was a little ugly, he could still advance by leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. Principal, they're all in seclusion? Yes, you're not here. Chen Ritian is competing with them for the position of commander. They agreed to fight a day before departure. The three of them against one Chen Ritian. No way, right? This. A.O. Guang and the others agreed. They had no choice. They were also forced to. Chen Ritian is that strong? The fatty's expression turned ugly. Obviously, this wasn't what he wanted. A.O. Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian were all his trusted subordinates. They were existences that were truly like brothers and sisters. Chen Ritian's actions were clearly destroying the hearts of the three of them. This was because Chun Hao knew that A.O. Guang was a direct descendant of the Monkey King. Ling Feng wasn't simple either. It was just that their potential hadn't been unearthed yet. I'll be the commander. My brothers won't have any objections. Principal, tell Chen Ritian that if he's unhappy, he can come and find me. Cough. Chen Hao said coldly. However, just as he finished speaking, he felt a headache. Even he seemed to have forgotten that Chen Ritian was in his 8th life. No problem. Kid, your aura is many times stronger than before. Although Chen Ritian's progress is also shocking, he's still lacking compared to you. There's no doubt that you'll be the commander. How's my Dao companion? Chun Si doing now? Don't worry. You'll be surprised at her progress. Chun Si's only flaw is that she's a little older. However, her foundation is more solid than anyone else's. Her aptitude and comprehension are also first-rate. Most importantly, she still has more powerful resources that she hasn't used yet. What resources? Chen Hao was slightly taken aback. When you step into Hong Ming and dual cultivate with her, won't you be another Wan Ishue? F***CK. Chen Hao disdainfully cursed the principal in his heart. Isn't that Li Yuan? Li Yuan actually came back. How is that possible? Didn't they say that he wouldn't be able to come out alive? He can enter the Emperor's Star secret realm. Yeah, not only did he come out, he even took care of Wan Ishue. Wan Ishue just left. You guys didn't see it. It can't be. He took care of him so quickly. He Ming chased after him for a long time and still couldn't get him. How can He Ming compare to Fatty Bro? other than being more handsome. He's not even fit to carry Fatty Bro's shoes. That's true. What's the use of being handsome? Strength is the way to go. The news of Fatty Li Yuan's return spread like a gust of wind in the Dahua school. Chapter 1355. Xi Ao Guang, Ling Feng, Xue Fian, and the others were doing their final push in their cultivation room. 300 years had passed, and the barrier that prevented Xi Xian from entering the great world of CND had completely disappeared. She was now perfectly compatible with the laws of heaven here. Yilan's deliberate and cruel cultivation had laid a solid foundation for her, and her tens of millions of years of experience had finally revealed her enormous potential. One could say that Xi Xian's improvement in the past 300 years could only be described as terrifying. Of course, this had a lot to do with Dean Cheng Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shilin's care. The reason why Cheng Wanxiang and Mo Shilin put so much effort into cultivating Xi Xian was because Xi Xian had two special abilities: the Immortal Bloodline and the 9 Lives Profound Technique. With the Immortal Bloodline, she could enter Queen Ying's Jade Maiden Palace, while with the 9 Lives Profound Technique, she could enter the Celestial River King's Shao clan. No matter which one it was worth the effort of the Academy to cultivate her. Even if Xi Xian stayed until the end of the agreement and left, it would still be a good thing. Second, Cheng Wanxiang had high hopes for Fatty Li Yuan. He believed that Chun Hao would definitely return, and his future was limitless. This was because Ao Guang, the descendant of the Monkey King, had unintentionally said, "The first time I, Ao Guang, saw Fatty Li, I had an intuition from the depths of my soul that he would be my boss for life." What? You want to see Chinsi now? If you want to see her, then go to her palace. Old Man has given you permission to enter the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm's palace, but it's only for a few days. Your personal palace will be completed in 3 days. No need. I've waited for 300 years, and I don't care about waiting another half a year. I won't disturb her anymore. I'm going to focus on my cultivation for the next half a year and give her a surprise when the time comes. Little Fatty, don't let Ishui down. Mo Shilin reminded him. Can you settle it? If you can't, we can keep it a secret for now. Don't let them fight. Fisk, Pavilion Master, you're underestimating my charm too much. It's just 2 women. I can settle in minutes. Awesome. Cheng Wanxiang said directly. Chen Hao spat. Image, you're the dean. Okay. Although he was telling the truth, he couldn't be so vulgar in front of everyone. It's nothing special. Chen Hao answered casually and returned to his palace. After leaving for more than 300 years, Chen Hao felt a sense of familiarity when he returned to the palace of the top 10, even though he had not lived here for long. But what was yours. The feeling was completely different. Since coming to the great world of CND, this was the first time that Chen Hao felt a faint sense of belonging. Chen Hao knew that this was more or less related to Dean Cheng Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shilin's attitude towards him and Xi Xian. He also knew their goals and hopes. However, this did not affect his good opinion of them. To put it bluntly, humans were emotional creatures. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the saying of a gentleman dying for his bosom friend. I must make a breakthrough in the Sword Dao in the last half a year. 3 days couldn't be delayed. Phew! Chen Hao let out a long breath and merged his mind into the mystery left by Miao Xian's vital yin. He had to admit that the vital yin of the Sword Emperor's constitution was indeed incomparable to that of an ordinary constitution. At this point, even though it had already fused into Chen Hao's cells, Chen Hao could gather it again with just a slight thought. Obviously, if Chen Hao wanted to truly merge it, he had to comprehend the mystery contained within. The Khanate Sword Emperor Constitution is so strong. When the time comes, Mainyang's Khanate Dao embryo won't be much weaker, right? Oh, Little Snow should have evolved into a Khanate Dao embryo by now. This thought flashed through Chen Hao's mind, and he immediately entered a state of full comprehension. 3 days later, Chun Hao entered the palace that the dean had personally condensed for him with the help of many experts. The laws of space and time were 1,000 times stronger, providing a steady stream of pure spiritual qi of heaven and earth. At the same time, the laws of heavenly Tao were strengthened several times. Wan Yishui also enjoyed the same treatment. Such exceptional conditions were not something that just anyone could enjoy. This caused the good to have a lot of ideas, but he could only keep it to himself. Time flew by, and half a year passed in a hurry. The vast and boundless the great world of Xiandi's #1 academy, Zhulu Academy, was shrouded in endless rays of light, like a dream. Auspicious clouds floated here and there, blooming with 9-colored brilliance. Mountains, strange peaks, strange rocks, ancient trees and immortal herbs, strange flowers and birds, and majestic palaces. It was like a fairyland. At the core, a towering mountain pierced into the 9 heavens, as if it connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Its momentum was extremely grand. At the top of the mountain, there were many palaces. In the core martial arts arena, young cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm were mixed together, surrounding the core arena and discussing. On the arena, 2 young figures stood proudly. One of the silhouettes was like a sword that had merged with heaven and earth. His sword will swallowed everything, and the slightest sword will could not capture it. There is only the momentum of heaven and earth as one, and heaven and earth as a sword. It was like a sword had been unsheathed, and the incomparably sharp sword will seem to want to tear the sky apart. It was extremely shocking. Qin Yang. This figure was Qin Yang, who had just entered Zhulu Academy for half a year. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile, without the slightest evil charm, only indifferent and otherworldly. It gave people the feeling that he had already reached the realm of being unperturbed, as good as water, and invulnerable. Such a person should be the focus of everyone's attention no matter where he went. However, at this moment, the gazes of countless young cultivators with powerful auras were focused on the figure standing opposite Qin Yang. Chen Tianhe, victory. Chen Tianhe, victory. Chen Tianhe, I love you. I love you. I love you. He was handsome to the point of shocking immortal central. Handsome to the point where the heavens and earth could not tolerate him. His handsome and outstanding face had clear edges and corners, handsome but not feminine. His handsomeness revealed masculinity, his figure tall and slender. He also had a faint smile, and his gaze made people feel as if they were bathed in the spring breeze, and they felt indescribably comfortable. The faint 9 deaths brilliance seemed to be shining above his head, making him look like a god. He was just standing there, but countless young cultivators had the urge to worship him. What kind of concept was that? One must know that this was the #1 academy in the great world of Xiandi. Every cultivator present was a disciple of this academy, and which one of them was not a top genius? But they actually had the urge to worship this young man. His name was Chen Tianhe. 300 years ago, he entered Zhulu Academy and made a name for himself. Today, he had gathered thousands of fortunes and became the most dazzling existence in Zhulu Academy's Daluo Golden Wonderland. He cultivated the most mystical power in the world, the power of faith. He was highly regarded by the honorary dean, Xing He Wang, as his personal disciple. He had the inheritance of the undying bloodline, and he controlled ancient and profound scriptures. When he spoke, even a true immortal king would rush over to listen to him. He created the legend of Zhulu Academy's rise. His name was destined to resound throughout the world in this year's Academy ranking competition, and he would become one of the most dazzling existences. Chen Tianhe, Chen Hao's second life. Chapter 1356. Make your move. Chen Tianhe said indifferently. You're very strong, but faith is faith. Once the myth is broken, your strength will disintegrate in an instant. That's an external force that doesn't belong to you. It's unreliable, Qing Yang said calmly. My myth, there is no one in the same realm who can break it now, and there won't be anyone in the future. Even if it's an external force, it will always be under my absolute control. There's no need to worry about it. Although we haven't fought yet, I know that I can't win against you. It's just that you're very weak, and there will be someone who will break it. In the near future, it might be this year's ranking competition. Perhaps it will be with the Sword Dao. You said so much just to save some face for admitting defeat. If that's the case, you can leave now. His name is Li Yuan. Qin Yang ignored Chen Tian's words and smiled. Her calm eyes suddenly bloomed with two bright lights as she looked at Chen Tianhe and said, after saying that, she jumped off the stage and went to the side of the most dazzling and beautiful figure below the stage. The only flaw was that this beautiful figure had lost the aura of the primordialine body. Junior sister, let's go. Okay. The two figures flashed and floated away. On the stage, Chen Tianhe was out of everyone's expectations. After being stunned for a moment, he suddenly flew towards Qin Yang and Miao Xian. Wait, what? Just because I can't win against you doesn't mean that I will lose to you. Why force a fight? Qin Yang stood in the void and said casually, You know Li Yuan? Chen Tianhe directly sealed the entire space with the majestic and terrifying power of faith and asked. Of course, Qin Yang said with a smile. Which life are you in? Miao Xian asked directly. Why don't you say which life is he in? Chen Tianhe frowned. He was in a bad mood. Now, he believed that he was definitely stronger than the original body, but this woman with the sword emperor body in front of him actually said so. You're very modest. Miao Xian said the same thing as Qin Yang. You are powerful only because of your faith power, which is an external force. As for him, other than his external force, his state of mind, comprehension of the Great Tao and his mastery of the Great Tao are not something you can compare with. To be exact, there is a huge gap between you and him. Therefore, you can't be the real one. Strength is everything. So what if it's an external force? As long as it is under my control, it is my power. Since you know him and you've lost your primordialine body, if I'm not wrong, you're already his woman, right? Blind trust I can understand. Miao Xian's expression changed. She didn't expect Chen Tianhe to say that. How can you be so sure? Qin Yang frowned slightly and asked on behalf of his junior sister. How could he let go of such a beautiful and talented woman? As far as I know, he had more than 10 women a long time ago. As for how many he has now, I can't guess. It doesn't matter if you're one more. 10 more than 10? Is that a lot? There will be more in the future. Even my women have been robbed by him. Chen Tianhe thought of Lu Hui and Lu Qian, and his face flashed with a touch of anger. This was the biggest knot in his heart. Your women? I'm a little doubtful. Are you really his doppelganger? I can tell you clearly that I was in the past, and now I am me. I am no longer controlled by his origin. Miao Xian, right? If you want, you could be my Tao companion. Sorry, even if he is really as dissolute and shameless as you said, I don't hate him when I think about it. As for you, Miao Xian didn't continue. She just glanced at Chen Tianhe disdainfully, and then said to Qin Yang, Senior brother, let's go? Goodbye. Chi-Chi, Qin Yang, and Miao Xian easily broke the seal set by Chen Tianhe with a snap of their fingers and flashed out. Chen Tianhe's face became extremely ugly. Junior sister, how was it? Just as Master said, it must be the Star River King. If Chen Tianhe's appearance, blood chi, and immortal bloodline were not exactly the same as his, which made me suspicious, I definitely wouldn't have sensed it. Now, only a little bit of his origin aura is left. Half a year ago, when Chen Hao hid in the dark and took Miao Xian and Qin Yang to Zhulu Academy, he happened to meet Chen Tianhe, the second life of Chen Hao. At that time, Miao Xian was extremely shocked and thought that she was looking at Chen Hao. After all, when yin and yang merged, Chen Hao's true body had nowhere to hide. How could Miao Xian not know the appearance, aura, and origin aura of Chen Hao's true body? Chen Taishu, who was hiding in the dark, noticed Miao Xian's abnormality and also sized up Chen Tianhe. With his sharp eyes, he easily found Chen Tianhe's abnormality and the seal of origin aura. When he learned from Yao Xian that Chen Tianhe's appearance and aura were the same as Li Yuan's true body, Chen Taishu knew what was going on. Oh, if that's the case, I'm afraid Chen Tianhe can only be regarded as an incarnation of his evil thoughts, or rather, he doesn't belong to him anymore. It has always been like this. Before the 9 lives profound art returns to one, other than the true body, everything else is formed by the divine sense origin. It can be good or evil. Anything is possible. The origin is controlled by the true body. But now, it's obvious that the origin has been sealed and is swapping the sun. Senior brother, you're not his match? I just can't beat him. However, it's also impossible for him to beat me. His power of faith is very strong, but my state of mind can weaken his power. Oh, then why do you think he can beat Chen Tianhe? He's not even as good as me, so naturally he's not as good as you. Haha, junior sister, that's when we don't know that he has the 9 lives profound art. Chen Tianhe is only one of his lives, but he can be so strong. Also, you should know where Chen Tianhe's power of faith comes from. If he can give up such a strong power, then is his true body's true strength weak? Also, is he only one of Chen Tianhe's avatars? Your Yin spirit's full force attack couldn't kill his Yin spirit that hasn't been awakened, let alone tempered. You can imagine how strong his true strength is. It's just that he scattered it. Is that so? Of course. Junior sister, don't be too proud. Senior brother, what nonsense are you talking about? Who's proud? Ha! Junior sister, you haven't laughed for a long time. Also, junior sister, you have the body of Sword Emperor and the man you're destined to be. How can he be weak? In summary, he's much stronger than we know. There's no doubt about it. Oh, let's not talk about him, whether he's strong or not. It has nothing to do with me. Senior brother, I'll return to the palace first. Okay, if he comes, I'll inform you. No need. Really? No. Ha! A swordsman cannot go against his heart. When the time comes, I'll call you. Chapter 1357. The Academy ranking tournament was held once every 1,000 years. Under normal circumstances, it would be held at the number 1 academy in the Immortal Emperor Great Thousand World. Zhilu Academy had been the number 1 academy for countless years. Their foundation and luck had become stronger and stronger. Until now, many top academies could not compete with them. Chunhao's second anima was able to dominate the Golden Immortal stage of the great all-embracing Golden Immortal stage in Zhilu Academy. His greatest reliance was the power of faith that had skyrocketed after the ancient chaos Great Thousand Worlds were unified. Even if he didn't practice cultivation, his power continued to grow day by day. The convergence of faith power made him like a god. Cultivators with weaker mental states and wills than him felt an impulse to prostrate themselves before him. Secondly, he had become the personal disciple of the Galaxy King, causing some geniuses to be unwilling to compete with him. Just like how Qingyang didn't make a move in the end, there was no need to compete with him for the position of commander. The real battle would be in the individual competition. That was when one could fight without restraint and gather the destiny of the world. Let's go. Chi Chi Chi. Great Qian Star, Red Cloud Academy. Young and powerful figures soared into the sky and stepped into the space-time gate. My lord, they're here. You cannot join them. Hee hee. Little White, what are you talking about? It's none of your business, Little Blue. 2 abnormal figures entered the space-time gate as they spoke. There were also a few figures that Chunhao was familiar with. Chunhao's 5th anima, the Tree of Life, Zhou, Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others from the ancient chaos universe. My lord, I hope you can appear. This time, I want to fight you to the death. Boundless Dao laws rolled. Chunhao's 4th anima, the Dao manifestation immortal fruit tree, set off from another top academy. I control my fate. I'll be the one to defeat you. Qinglong, I'll definitely find you. Wait for me. The 3rd anima, born of the Berserk realm, let out a powerful voice. Oomph. This time, I've undergone a qualitative transformation. I, Chun Quan, will destroy everything with my energy. Ha! The sixth Ling Quan Hai was filled with an energy aura that was as deep as the sea. It seemed like it could erupt at any time. It was extremely terrifying. Chen Qi, are you really not going to join the group? With your strength, you'll definitely be able to obtain a decent harvest. It's meaningless. My focus is on the individual competition. Don't worry, I'll get a good ranking and win honor for the academy. I want to defeat them one by one. Let's see who still dares to look down on me. Chen Qi's battle intense sword. Although his appearance had changed, this guy was still extremely handsome. Chen Qi, Chun Qi, Chun Hao's seventh anima. Let's go. There's still no news. Hao probably won't be able to make it to the ranking competition this time. That's right. After all, he said that it would take 10,000 years. No matter how powerful Big Brother is, it's impossible for him to only be 300 years old. But no matter what, we'll be free after this exchange competition ends. Let's go to Dali University first. Let's go. They're rushing us. Chun Shui, Helian Wuzi, and the other girls soon met up with Chun Nan and the others. Under the guidance of the college principal and many experts, they stepped into the gate of time and space. Planet Dali, Dali University, core practice field. Chun Ri-Tian, who had come out of seclusion, came directly here. Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian were naturally no exception. This was their agreement. Although the three of them were not confident in defeating the abnormal Chen Ri-Tian had already peed and shit on their necks. That kind of contempt, they had no choice but to agree. 1 against 3, if they still did not dare, where would their dignity be? Where they put their face? Xixian also arrived immediately. However, when they arrived, the core practice field was already packed with people. This was because the news of their duel had already spread throughout Dali University. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, Xixian and the others who had just come out of seclusion did not know. However, the news had also spread throughout Dali University. Chen Ri-Tian, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xixian arrived one after another. They were all stunned, their eyes wide open. A fat figure sat cross-legged in the center of the practice field, immersed in cultivation as if there was no one around. The aura on his body was flickering, and the expression on his face was constantly changing. It was obvious that he was immersed in comprehending some kind of absolute art or heavenly law at a critical moment. This was too crazy. Beside him, Wan Yishui's expression was solemn. His aura was terrifying. At the same time, he activated the green jade ripple technique. Obviously, he was protecting Chun Hao. What kind of situation was this? Fatty Chi. Xixian went to Chun Hao's side and looked at Wan Yishui. Her gaze was as sharp as a sword, as if she wanted to see through Wan Yishui. When Wan Yishui saw Xixian, he did not dare to look at her. He avoided Xixian's gaze, his face flushed red. He was waiting for you to come out of seclusion, but he suddenly entered this state. To be precise, when he came out of the palace to wait for you, he did not really come out of seclusion. You're here. I'll go Wan Yishui's face was red as he disappeared after saying that. The great teleportation technique has reached such a level. It's really the damn fatty's doing. Xixian gritted her teeth in anger. The moment she saw Wan Yishui, she sensed that he had lost his primordialine body. Chapter 1358. All right, since you've said so, I'll tell you clearly. His encounters in the Emperor's Star Secret Realm are shocking. His improvement can only be described as terrifying. His Yin soul has already been awakened, and he's using his subconscious to control it. Even if you activate your immortal equipment to the maximum, you might not be his match. There's still a chance in the future. Don't provoke him now, lest people talk about it. The Pavilion Lord said. Awakened his Yin soul? How is that possible? Chen Ri-Tian said in shock. After learning the yin-yang theory of souls, he understood the true meaning of the Yin soul. How could he not be shocked? Even a seventh heaven true immortal might not be able to awaken his own soul. Only a seventh heaven true immortal who was on the path to becoming an immortal emperor would have a 100% chance of awakening his own soul. But now, Chun Hao from the Daluo Golden Wonderland had awakened his own soul. How is that possible? That's the truth. I've already asked around. The cultivators who entered the Emperor's Star Secret Realm are Shao family Shao Mantian, young Master Godwalk Feng Wuxing, and young Master Saber and Sword Ding Hao. They haven't come out yet, but Li Yuan brought Wan Yishui out of the Emperor's Star Secret Realm first. His talent is too monstrous. You saw it just now. Because Wan Yishui dual cultivated with him, her strength has also increased by a terrifying amount. His current strength is not something you can fight against. Let's go. Chen Ritian was shocked, and his heart was filled with unwillingness. But he knew that the Pavilion Lord was right. If he insisted, he would only be asking for humiliation. He could only swallow his anger and be taken away by the Pavilion Lord. Over the past 300 years, especially after Chun Hao had entered the Emperor's Star Secret Realm, his consciousness had become even stronger. If not for this, he wouldn't have purposely provoked the siblings of his original body to such an extent. He thought that even if Chun Hao returned, he would have a great chance of turning the situation around. But now, he realized reality was cruel. He left? No way. Chen Ritian gave up just like that? That shouldn't be. How can this be? We agreed to fight. I've been waiting for this for a long time. TSK, wasn't he so awesome back then? He was the first seat. Our fat bro is back. Haha, looks like our fat bro is awesome. Pavilion, you guys are arrogant? Haha, what are you so proud of? Didn't you hear what our Pavilion Master said? No matter how strong lead disciple Chun is, he won't be able to withstand your numbers. Just watch the individual competition. I'll crush you to death. He's just a fatty. When Shin Ritian suddenly rose into the air and was about to leave with the Pavilion Master of the Great Pavilion, countless discussions broke out, and they were divided into two factions. What? You're leaving already? Chi. Suddenly, without any warning, Chun Hao abruptly opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth curled up into a harmless smile as he said coldly. Shin Ritian's body stiffened as he frowned. The Pavilion Master of the Great Transformation Pavilion also frowned. He didn't want Shin Ritian to fight with the fatty now. That would seriously affect the morale of the Great Transformation Pavilion. After all, they had to leave for Zhulu Academy tomorrow. Li Yuan, let's see who's better in the individual competition. Ritian, don't waste any more time. You have to fulfill my request on the last day. Let's go. The Great Pavilion Master purposely covered for Chun Ritian and pulled him away. However, Chun Hao shook his head and gestured for the Cabinet Master to wait. He then looked at Chun Hao and said, I will surpass you. You won't have the chance. What do you mean? Chun Hao suddenly laughed. At the same time, his glabella suddenly released an endless amount of light, and streaks of dense qi secretly appeared. Qi. In an instant, a beam of light shot towards Chun Ritian like a laser beam. Fatty, the Pavilion Master of the true martial pavilion, Mo, Shilin, and Si Xian exclaimed at the same time. Both of them had the 9 Lives Mystery skill, so naturally they could sense the aura of the 9 Lives Mystery skill. Si Xian was puzzled and shocked. On the other hand, Mo Shilin was completely stunned. The fatty had the 9 Lives Mystery skill, but he couldn't sense it. What? Ben, what are you doing? Chen Ritian's glabella suddenly shot out a beam of light uncontrollably. At the same time, he shouted in fear. He knew what Chun Hao was going to do, but he couldn't understand why Chun Hao would choose to do it at this time, and under the watchful eyes of the crowd. How dare you? For a moment, the Pavilion Master of the Grand Pavilion didn't know what Chun Hao was going to do. However, when he saw Chun Ritian's terrified expression, he immediately intervened. Back off, However, almost at the same time, a figure appeared between the Pavilion Master of the Grand Pavilion and Chun Hao to thin air. With a wave of his hand, the energy of the Grand Pavilion Master was dissolved into nothingness. Buzz! It was also at this moment that the beam of light shot out from between Chun Hao's glabella and the beam of light from between Chun Ritian's glabella connected. Immediately after, under the shocked gazes of countless people, Chun Ritian's eyes lost their luster and quickly dimmed. Then, his body turned into drifting light like a dandelion and merged into the fatty's glabella. Buzz! At this moment, the fatty's body suddenly released tens of thousands of rays of light. He was like the sun in the sky, becoming the core of heaven and earth. A powerful aura spread out from his body, causing all the cultivators present to be aghast. What happened? Chun Ritian was killed by the fatty just like that. His body and soul were destroyed. Moreover, the dean didn't stop him. That was what most people thought. However, at this moment, the fatty finally opened his mouth. Chun Ritian is actually me, Li Yuan. It's just that he's my clone. To be honest with you, I just wanted to get more resources. I didn't expect my clone to develop an independent will. It's getting more and more outrageous. While I'm not around, he actually forced my brothers and sisters into such a situation. That's destroying their Taoist heart. He really deserves to die. Crash! The entire martial arts practice field exploded. Little fatty, your 9 lives profound technique has reached such a level? Ha! Little fatty, the old man's foresight is indeed impressive. From the beginning, the old man thought highly of you, and it was indeed true. Ha! Emochalene and the dean were each more excited than the other. The pavilion master of the grand pavilion slumped to the ground, completely dumbfounded. The disciple he had wholeheartedly nurtured was actually a clone of the fatty. His immortal artifact, his efforts, his hopes were all gone. Brother Fatty, you mother of Asterisker, can't you be a little less awesome? Fatty, when Chen Hao pulled the nearby, Si Xian to his side without blushing, Ao, Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian came to Chen Hao's side. Ao Guang and Ling Feng's faces were filled with excitement. Even the Queen of Ice, Xue Fian, revealed a rare smile and shouted excitedly. Chapter 1359. Brother Fatty, you're finally back. We've missed you so much. That's right. Brother Fatty, you're amazing. Ha! Su Tao, Yin Su Su, and the others from the bloodthirsty squad also rushed over and said excitedly. They knew that Fatty was awesome, but they never thought that he was this awesome. Chun Ritian was just his clone. What kind of concept was that? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 3 figures arrived quickly. In an instant, everyone felt that the world had darkened. In everyone's eyes, there was only a figure as bright as the stars. There was only one person in the entire University of Dahua who could make such a grand entrance, the captain of the Starlight Squad, Murong Qianhua. Beside Murong Qianhua were his 2 brothers, Xianyuan Chun and Tang Hu. Damn Fatty. The 3 of them had obviously just come out of seclusion. When they saw Fatty in the center of the martial arts practice field, they frowned at the same time. Murong Qianhua, in particular, looked extremely embarrassed. Over the past 300 years, his attitude couldn't be any lower. He was like a shameless fly that couldn't be driven away. As long as there was a slight chance, he would pester Si Xian. He didn't care about his dignity and face, just to get Si Xian's favor. He didn't know why he was so cheap. He only knew that in order to get Si Xian, he would do anything. He had said countless times that it was impossible for Fatty to return, so that Si Xian would give up on Chun Hao. He also believed that where there was sincerity, there would be no resistance. But now, Fatty had actually returned. In just over 300 years, he had actually returned. How could he not be surprised? What was even more shocking was that although the aura on Fatty couldn't threaten him, who was at the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, it was too terrifying for the Daluo Golden Wonderland. He was sure that Fatty was definitely much stronger than him at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Just as the 3 of them were shocked, the crowd's discussion reached their ears. They learned that Chun Ritian was actually Fatty's clone and that he had the 9 lives mysterious technique of the Star River King. This made the three of them even more dumbfounded. Damn it, damn fly. This shameless guy is here again. Ao Guang and Ling Feng cursed. Xixian's face also suddenly revealed a disgusted expression, and she couldn't help but tighten her grip on Chunhao's arm. Fatty frowned slightly and said, Cici, don't tell me this trash is still pursuing you. Fatty bro isn't just chasing after her. He's simply shameless and shameless. He's like a fly whenever he gets an opportunity. Damn it. If it weren't for the fact that we're one level lower than him, we would have challenged him long ago. Fatty, I'm not someone who's looking for trouble. But if I were you, I definitely wouldn't tolerate it. Ling Feng, the shameless guy, actually also ignited the fire. Move aside. Do you think I'm stupid? Although I'm a little strong, I'm not going to challenge an idiot. Chen Hao said. However, in his heart, it wasn't as simple as it seemed. Having just integrated with the 8th anima, he felt that his power was off the charts. He even had the desire to fight Murong Qianhua of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Therefore, he didn't hide his words at all. Moreover, as he spoke, his eyes were filled with provocation and disdain as he looked at the shocked Murong Qianhua and the other two. It had to be said that Chun Hao was very high-profile and arrogant today. Not to mention anything else, he definitely wouldn't have exposed Chen Ritian's secret in the past. However, after experiencing the Imperial Star Secret Realm, he felt that even if he exposed a little more, it wouldn't cause too much of stir. In the past, he was a frog at the bottom of a well. In the eyes of Miao Xian, Qing Yang, and the others, what he hid was probably a little too precious. Therefore, he didn't need to hide so much at all. What did you say? Tang, who suddenly said angrily, F***CK. Damn fatty, do you want to die? Boom. Xian Yuanshan was even more violent. He directly gathered his energy, looking like he was about to start a fight. Chi. Suddenly, a mysterious energy appeared out of thin air between the two parties. You guys, don't cause trouble for me now. All right, all of you disperse. Tomorrow morning, we'll set off on time. All disciples who are going to participate in the competition, come on your own. Go back and prepare for it. The dean's berating voice resounded throughout the martial arts arena. He was clear about the conflict between Murong Qianhua and the other two and the fatty. He was also clear about their pursuit of Chen Si. However, as long as Murong Qianhua didn't violate the rules, he couldn't interfere. There was another important point. Now, the Grand Mist Supremacy realm could rely on Murong Qianhua and his two brothers. Damn fatty, just you wait. It's just a fatty ba. I'll let you know that in this world, there are some people you can't afford to offend. Murong Qianhua and the other two said one after another. F***CK. When Master Monkey steps into Hongming, I'll kill the three of them in seconds. F***CK. F***CK. Monkey, you've already done it. Who's this handsome guy going to do? That's true. I'll leave one for you. F***CK. Monkey, Ling Feng. When did the two of you have such a strong taste? You won't even let this kind of trash go? The fatty said with a shocked expression. Brother Fatty, let's go to the tavern? Okay, let's go, it's my treat. Ha! The original captain, Su Tao, said. It was the wisest decision of the Carnage Battle team to be able to climb up to Fatty, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian. Fatty was so awesome today, he was naturally very excited. You? Forget it. With your little savings, forget it. Brother Fatty is back. We can't just drink casually today. We don't ask for the best, just the most expensive. Ha ha ha. That seems to be the case. Su Tao said a little awkwardly. So it's just me and the handsome guy. Ao Guang said. No problem. The handsome guy, can even treat myself. It's just a little money, as long as the brothers are happy. Ling Feng said generously as he waved his folding fan. Cici, did you see Wan Yixue just now? Look, she's over there. Why don't you call her? The fatty suddenly said to Xixian through telepathy. Although Wan Yixue left shyly, she didn't go far. She was just too embarrassed to face Xixian. At this moment, she, who was also stunned by Chan Hao, was looking at them eagerly. I thought you could really hold it in. You can't hold it in anymore? If you want to call her. Si Xian said telepathy. She's only here if you call her. Imph. I wonder how many good sisters my handsome brother Fatty has found for Xiao Shui and the rest in the past 300 years. Ah, I have to go to the divine realm to inform Xiao Shui and the rest. Si Xian suddenly thought of informing Qin Shui and the rest. Inform Xiao Shui? They entered the divine realm? That's right. It's been so long. Senior Yilan should have found the secret realm by now. Chen Hao said excitedly. They entered a long time ago and arrived at the great world of CND a long time ago. No way. Chen Hao's eyes widened in shock. Chapter 1361. They don't have any opponents in ancient chaos. If they continue to stay, it will affect their growth. Thus, Master told them to come. Little Snow and the others, as well as Chun Nan, Pan Long, Du Jing, Edo Tai, and the others have all come, and they're all together. They will all be participating in this academy ranking competition. At that time, you will be able to see them. Also, their agreement with the academy will expire after the ranking competition. At that time, they can join the academy. Si Xian says with a slightly strange expression. With the arrival of all the girls, she can no longer be Chun Hao's only one. No, she is no longer the only one. But at least she is still a veteran and has a higher status than the young one Yishui. But after Chen Shui and the rest come, she has no qualifications to speak of. Have to say, any woman would have this kind of thought. After all, who doesn't want the person they love to completely belong to them? Ha! CC, what you said is all true? It's fake. Si Xian looks at Chun Hao's excited expression and says angrily. He. Anyway, we're going to see them. Why don't we not inform them? How can we do that? I promise them that I will tell them the moment you come back. Wait a moment. I will enter the immortal realm space. Oh, as Si Xian said this, she suddenly looked at Wan Yishui, who was already far away, and waved at her. Wan Yishui, who has obviously communicated with Chun Hao, hesitates for a moment and jumps over. Si Xian directly connects to the immortal realm space under the protection of Chun Hao. Ha! Hello, second sister-in-law. Sister Shui, what a pity, ah? I really didn't expect that when we meet again, you have already become someone's wife. What's worse is that you are my second sister-in-law. I am so handsome, second sister-in-law. Didn't you notice at that time? AI, the falling flowers are yearning for love, but the heartless brook. Get lost, second sister-in-law. Don't bother about him. This guy, whenever he sees a woman, he will say such things. He didn't even let Fian off. Asking for a beating. Shui Fian mutters. Haha, F***CK. You guys should at least expose it later. Let's see what sister-in-law says. Really, you guys are not interesting at all. Ling Feng said gloomily. Wan Yishui, who was embarrassed by Ling Feng's strange confession and didn't know what to say, glared fiercely at the prankster. No, they left a message saying that they're already on their way to Zhulu Academy. That's great. I'll give them a surprise. Hee. Come, let's get intimate. We'll talk later. Chen Hao pulled Si Xian and Wan Yishui together, while he went to Ao Guang and Ling Feng's side and started chatting with them. Soon, they arrived at the tavern in the academy that was specially open for the disciples. After 300 years, everyone shared their experiences. Si Xian stared at Chun Hao and continued to ask, how did you guess? Very simple. The smell on your body doesn't only belong to Wan Yishui. Just now, when you were immersed in comprehension, I was 3 feet away from you, and I could feel a hidden sword intent. It's a very high level. That shouldn't belong to you. You can't be, right? This. You can even sense this? What's so difficult about that? Secondly, when you talked about her, you deliberately said a few words. That's too deliberate. Moreover, your eyes are a little different. Cough, I'm convinced. CC, come, let's get intimate first. Let me slowly follow you. Sigh, this experience can be said to be hard to describe in words. It was a narrow escape. Woo. Damn fatty. Woo. After more than 300 years of meeting, under the strong attack of the fatty, Xian finally obediently immersed herself in an intoxicating kiss. However, they knew that they couldn't extinguish the fire, so they maintained the necessary restraint. Otherwise, they would have tortured themselves for nothing. Chapter 1362. Let's go. The next day, at 7 in the morning, Principal Cheng Wanxiang gave the order. Countless young practitioners valiantly and spiritedly stepped onto the journey to Tianhua Planet's Zhulu Academy. In terms of women, Fatty, who never knew what it meant to be low-key, was accompanied by beauties. Even though only Xian was holding his arm, and Wan Yishui was only by his side, and they were separated by a meter, they were still very eye-catching in the crowd. Needless to say, Xian was a peerless beauty, an immortal legend, and she still maintained her primordialine body. Wan Yishui was already considered a heavenly existence in Hua University. Even though she wasn't the kind of woman who gave people a breathtaking feeling, she was very pleasing to the eye. Especially after being nourished by Chun Hao, she was even more charming. Such a situation was already very eye-catching, especially for two people. It was almost blinding. One was naturally Murong Qianhua, and the other was in the crowd with a gloomy face, He Ming, who had chased Wan Yishui for countless years and had long considered himself Wan Yishui's companion. Unfortunately, at this moment, he didn't even have the qualifications to challenge Chen Hao. Hatred. There was only hatred in his heart. He hated Fatty for stealing his woman, hated Wan Yishui for being fickle and snobbish. However, after passing through the space-time tunnel into the Milky Way tunnel, something even more enviable happened. Little Fatty, why don't you greet your sister when you see her? An elegant and pleasant voice suddenly sounded out. Two graceful and moving figures held hands as they floated to the front of the Fatty. One of the figures said with a smile, "Ah, hello, sister. Hello, big sister. I want to greet sister, but I'm afraid I'll be killed by the gazes of others." Fatty scratched his head awkwardly and started to flatter him. He had long seen these two very eye-catching existences that were even more eye-catching than him, Xian and Wan Yishui. Even Ling Feng and A.O. Guang's gazes were staring at them nonstop. But how could he have the nerve to greet them? He naturally knew the beauty who spoke. She was the teacher in charge of the Painting and Calligraphy Association, Ruo Lan. As for the beauty with a different temperament and an abnormally hot figure, Chen Hao didn't know her. She's sister's good sister, the teacher in charge of the Ancient Martial Arts Association, Ruoxian. Her attainments in ancient martial arts are very high. How is it? Isn't she beautiful? Beautiful, even sexier. Hello, Sister Ruoxian. Ah, the Fatty had a slight smile on his face, and his gaze paused slightly on her perfectly round and plump breasts. He didn't conceal his admiration in the slightest. Xian couldn't help but fiercely pinch this shameless fellow. How could he be so perverted? Mother asterisk Kerr, Ruoxian. Big brother thinks that Ruo Yao is more suitable. Chen Hao muttered in his heart. At this moment, Tang Hu, who was in the crowd, turned pale. He had joined the University of Dahua, specifically for Ruo Lan. Over the past 300 years, he had racked his brains, but Ruo Lan had always maintained a certain distance from him. He was unable to truly get close to her. On the other hand, Fatty had only met Ruo Lan once, yet they were already so close. This made him feel even more swollen than Murong Qianhua's face, especially when they saw that Ruo Lan had actually given Fatty a present in front of everyone. Furthermore, it was a present that she had preserved for more than 300 years and had specially drawn for Fatty. They were so envious that they gnashed their teeth in hatred, wishing that they could skin Fatty alive with their eyes. Don't you want to open it and take a look? Ruo Lan smiled sweetly as she stared into Chen Hao's eyes. She was rather confident and faintly expectant. It seemed that she wanted to see Chen Hao's evaluation. Brother Fatty, open it and take a look. It's a drawing that teacher Ruo Lan personally made. Let the brothers broaden their horizons. Yes, yes. Brother Fatty Open it and take a look. Open it and take a look. Suddenly, someone in the crowd jeered. Even A.O. Guang and Ling Feng were no exception. They craned their necks, their faces filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Is it okay? Fatty looked at Ruolan and asked, there are no secrets between you and Big Sister for the time being. Of course it's okay. Ahem. Chunhao avoided Ruolan's gaze. He felt that it seemed that no matter how he behaved, Ruolan did not seem to care at all. Moreover, she seemed to be deliberately teasing him. Although he had always yearned to do something as awesome as defeating a beautiful teacher since he was young, it was just a thought. If it was a real battle, he would have to seriously consider it. And now, Chunhao was already unable to bear the burden. How would he dare to act recklessly? Therefore, for the first time, when facing a beautiful woman, Chunhao was terrified. All right, then let's take a look. After avoiding Ruolan's gaze, Chunhao said. Ruolan's smiling eyes flashed with an even more confident light. Her smile became even more intense. When Chunhao opened the drawing that Ruolan made for him, he was instantly stunned. Xixian and Wan Yixue, who were beside him, also widened their eyes in shock. They simply could not believe what they saw. While the others were in an uproar. So handsome, so beautiful. Isn't this woman teacher Ruolan? The man, his eyes look a little like Fatty Bro's. No, very similar, but he's 1,000 times more handsome than Fatty Bro, right? A.O. Guang, this thick-skinned guy, directly blurted out. This is what a couple looks like. Teacher Ruolan is cute and lovable with a face full of happiness. She's so handsome that it's ridiculous. Damn. Monkey, don't you look like the appearance of Fatty's spiritual intelligence when he inherited the will of massacre? As Ling Feng spoke, he suddenly thought of Chunhao's test. Damn, it's true. At this moment, everyone looked at Fatty and Ruolan one by one. Fatty was such a thick-skinned person, but this time he actually blushed. A dignified and beautiful teacher was actually wooing a student in front of everyone. This definitely wasn't his wishful thinking. That was clearly Fatty's drawing of Ruolan back then, and Ruolan had skillfully drawn a handsome guy beside her. Chunhao also believed that Ruolan was only able to draw his original appearance after seeing the appearance of the eighth life derived from his will of slaughter. Moreover, the two of them were very intimately standing side by side in the drawing. Ruolan was still smiling sweetly, as if she did not care about the gazes of the crowd at all. She continued to stare at Fatty, but she said telepathically, Elder Sister has never seen you gain spiritual intelligence. Immediately, she said, this is only your eyes. As for the person, of course, Elder Sister can't draw a big fat guy. It'll affect the beauty. It can't be. The eyes are a door, the door that opens everything. Ruolan smiled slightly and raised her thin, willowy eyebrows at Chunhao mysteriously. Do you like it? Chunhao was embarrassed. This drawing, Ruolan added. This drawing is very good. Of course I like it. However, Elder Sister, how can there be such a handsome person in the world? This is so handsome that even heaven and earth can't tolerate it. This can't be the appearance of the white horse, Dao, companion in your dreams, right? You guessed right. Ruolan finished speaking and pulled the voluptuous Ruo Xian back to the group of accompanying teachers. Chapter 1363. Crack. Tang Hu gritted his teeth, and his face became terrifyingly gloomy. If not for Murong Qianhua comforting him secretly, he would have gone crazy. Even if he wanted to look at this painting with an artistic eye, he could not find any meaning that could comfort him. The only feeling it gave was that Ruolan definitely liked Fatty. Even though the person in the painting did not look like Fatty and the expression was not clear, at least one could see that there was a hint of ambiguity. She likes you, damn Fatty. Fatty, she likes you. Xixian and Wan Yixue said almost at the same time in Chunhao's ears. Brother Fatty, I beg you to help me. Tell me honestly, are you proficient in some kind of ultimate technique to pick up girls? Fatty, I have to admit that you are more awesome than me. As long as you teach me your ultimate technique to attract girls, I, Ling Feng, will follow your lead from now on. How about it?" Ao Guang and Ling Feng could not hold it in anymore. Chen Hao looked very innocent. In fact, it had nothing to do with him. After all, it was only the second time they had met. Who would have thought that this would happen? But it had to be said that Fatty, who was cold on the outside, was very happy in his heart. A beauty and a goddess teacher in the hearts of countless people actually confessed to him in public. How honorable was that? This was the first time Chen Hao had encountered such a thing. How could he not be proud? Furthermore, he had slapped an idiot's face until it was swollen. He was probably biting his teeth and swallowing his blood, right? Chen Hao could not help but look at Tang Hu, who was gnashing his teeth. Of course, Chen Hao was a little confused about Ruo Lan's intentions. At the same time, he was also suspicious of Ruo Lan's claim that she did not see him develop spiritual intelligence. Could she beautify him just by looking at him? Or could she see through the disguise of the Great Change technique? No matter which one it was, it seemed impossible. This is Zhulu Academy. After stepping out of the Milky Way tunnel and passing through the gate of time and space, the people from Dahua Academy finally arrived at Zhulu Academy after half a month. Zhulu Academy was located in Tianhua Planet, the core region of the great world of CND. It was surrounded by stars, like stars surrounding the moon, gathering the fortune of the world. Amidst the mountains, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was abnormally abundant, and the laws of heaven and earth were even clearer. Amidst the lingering clouds and mist, it was like a world of immortals. Exotic flowers and plants were everywhere, and countless palaces of various sizes filled the mountainsides, the peaks, and the foot of the mountains. They seemed to be without any pattern, but they formed a series of mysterious rune formations that connected the area of hundreds of millions of miles. Every peak and every pavilion was an element of the rune formations. Looking from afar, the clouds and rosy clouds were like a divine dragon that spanned hundreds of millions of miles. The entire region where Zhulu Academy was located emitted a faint glow. What a powerful aura! This was the first time Chen Hao had set foot on a planet other than Planet Large. He could not help but exclaim in surprise. This was only the periphery of Zhulu Academy, but Chen Hao could sense that it had completely surpassed Dahua Academy. To be precise, Dahua Academy could not compare to it at all. Of course, this was only in terms of scale and aura. Ao Guang and the others, who were also here for the first time, could not help but exclaim in surprise. Tianhua Planet is the head of the 3,000 main planets, and Zhulu Academy is the #1 academy of the Celestial Emperor. Of course, it lives up to its name. Cheng Wanxiang said in a low voice, stroking his beard, his eyes distant. Our Dahua Academy is only a first-rate academy. Comparatively speaking, our foundation is too shallow. If we want to contend with it, we first have to be promoted to a top-rate academy. Cough! Chen Hao almost laughed out loud at Cheng Wanxiang's words. There's still a long way to go. Old man spent a lot of effort to nurture all of you geniuses, but how many of you will be able to stay after the agreement is over? People strive for greater heights. Old man really did not want to nurture all of you. That would be making a wedding dress for someone else. However, if he did not nurture all of you, Dahua Academy would not even be a first-rate academy, let alone a second-rate or third-rate academy. This is the cruelty of competition. Cheng Wanxiang paused for a moment, his gaze sweeping across the disciples as he continued. Therefore, whether it's for yourselves or for Dahua Academy, if you want to remember this, then perform well. Even if the agreement is over and you leave, old man will have no complaints. He only hopes that all of you will be able to achieve greater heights and become the pride of Dahua Academy. Who are you? At this moment, the void shook, and 11 youthful Dao, severing perfected celestials, tore through the void. The leader of the group had an arrogant expression on his face as he asked condescendingly. Although there was nothing wrong with his question, his condescending tone was extremely jarring to the ears of everyone present. No matter what, Cheng Wanxiang, the dean, and the other top figures of the academy were present. Even an idiot would know that they were here to participate in the academy ranking competition, while the other party was merely a patrol guard of Zhulu Academy. Not only was his tone not respectful, but he was also so overbearing as to ask who they were. This made Cheng Wanxiang frown slightly. He had long known that the disciples of Zhulu Academy were arrogant, but he did not expect them to be so arrogant and unreasonable. He was the dean of a first-rate academy, a true celestial king expert. How could a few Tao-severing perfected celestials not take him seriously? How dare you? Before Cheng Wanxiang could speak, a figure that could make a man explode stepped out from the crowd. Her entire body flashed, and her appearance changed slightly. She was even more beautiful than before. A majestic and terrifying aura emanated from her body, instantly enveloping the 11 disciples of Zhulu Academy. Are all of you blind? Don't you see the mark on our chests? Who gave you the guts to treat the dean of a first-rate academy with such an attitude? Who else could have such a hot figure other than Ruo Lan's best friend, the teacher in charge of the Ancient Martial Arts Association, Ruo Xian? However, her appearance had actually undergone a subtle change. The change was clearly not big, but it was as if she had become a completely different person. Even Chun Hao was slightly surprised and had the urge to activate the fiery golden eyes. However, in the end, he managed to hold himself back. The disciples of Dahua Academy felt that their anger had been vented. She had directly scolded the 11 disciples of Zhulu Academy. The majestic and terrifying aura released by Ruo Xian caused the 11 of them to stagger and almost fall from the sky. Their faces were pale as they stabilized themselves. You're just a first-rate academy. How dare you be so arrogant and not let us, Zhulu Academy, go? One of the 11 people stared at Ruo Xian fearlessly and arrogantly. The smell of gunpowder was strong, and he even used the banner of Zhulu Academy. However, before he could finish, he was suddenly interrupted by the leader of the 11 people. Shut up. Immediately, the leader turned around and cupped his fists. He bowed slightly to Ruo Xian and said, Are you Senior Sister Meng Xian? Chapter 1364. Why do you have to call me Senior Sister? Ruo Xian raised an eyebrow. She did not deny the other party calling her Meng Xian, but said coldly, Get lost. The person who spoke had an ugly expression on his face, but he didn't dare to show any signs of anger. Rumble, the other 10 people, and most of the people from the Daoist school, except for the dean and Ruo Lan, were shocked. They looked at Ruo Xian, no, Meng Xian in shock. At the same time, many people turned to look at the elegant and beautiful Ruo Lan after a few seconds. They seemed to have thought of something and were equally shocked. Meng Xian, could it be that she came from Zhulu Academy and is very powerful? Chun Hao and a few other cultivators who had not experienced much in the Immortal Emperor Great Thousand World and knew very little about the Immortal Emperor Great Thousand World thought curiously. Xian Lan, it must be her, Meng Lan, Meng Xian. Ruo Lan and Ruo Xian are the famous Meng Lan and Meng Xian? Oh my god. No wonder teacher Ruo Lan is so good at calligraphy and painting. She hid her real style in the Taoist school. Even so, she is famous again. Yes, teacher Ruo Meng is also very good at ancient martial arts. There is nothing she is not good at. Ruo Lan, Ruo Xian, we should have known that they are Meng Lan and Meng Xian. Meng Lan and Meng Xian were famous 30,000 years ago. The two of them, who had mysterious origins, had passed Zhulu Academy's assessment at the same time when they were Daluo Golden Immortals and had become disciples of Zhulu Academy. They had made a name for themselves in the inter-academy competition and were ranked within the top 100 Daluo Golden Immortals. They were the top 100 of the great world of CND. After that, the two of them stepped into the Hongmeng domain and became the supreme of Hongmeng. 10,000 years later, they took part in the ranking competition again and entered Hongmeng's top 100 supreme martial artists. their fame was even greater. After all, those who were able to enter the top 100 in the Daluo Golden Wonderland were definitely not weak in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. However, it was too difficult to enter the top 100 in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, it was a fact that one's growth after entering the Hongmeng realm was not necessarily as strong. It was just like how Murong Qianhua did not think that Chen Hao, who was a freak in the Daluo realm, was still stronger than him in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. This was not absolute. 30,000 years ago, the two of them had both severed their Daos and stepped into the ranks of true immortals. They left Zhulu Academy and disappeared from the cultivation world. Just like their names, Meng Lan and Meng Xian, their appearance and disappearance were like a dream to many young cultivators. This was especially so for the geniuses of Zhulu Academy. Back then, many people had regarded the two of them as goddesses. Unfortunately, in the end, no one was able to capture their hearts. Countless disciples of Zhulu Academy could not forget about them. No one would have thought that after 30,000 years, they would appear again today. Moreover, they were staying in a first-class academy. After you. Dean Sheng, please. The leader looked as if he wanted to find a hole to hide in. He lowered his head and said respectfully, not daring to look at Ruoxian. Back then, he, Meng Xian, and Meng Lan were part of the same group of Daluo Jingxian. He knew Meng Xian's fiery temper very well. How could he dare to say anything? Even though Ruoxian was no longer a disciple of Zhulu Academy, her friends and team were still there. A casual word from her would be enough to make him suffer. Oof. Meng Xian snorted coldly. Then, she looked at Cheng Wanxiang and said, Dean, after you. Haha. Little girl, you are indeed the pride of Zhulu Academy. Even I have to give you face. Dean, I've made a fool of myself. The disciples of Zhulu Academy are becoming more and more arrogant. Ruoxian said, Sheng Ji has been the immortal emperor for too long. It's inevitable that his disciples are like that. Let's go. Cheng Wanxiang said. After stepping into Zhulu Academy's territory, Chen Hao's powerful soul perception was completely released. Moreover, he also silently integrated his origin aura into the world. Zhulu Academy, the location of the second anima, Chen Hao, had long since known that Chen Hao was there. Moreover, he had mentally prepared himself before coming here. Chen Hao had discovered from the eighth anima, Chun Ri Tian, that although the nine animus profound art was extremely powerful, it had a huge flaw. A flaw in one's state of mind. This was because independent thoughts would inevitably appear with the self as the foundation. No one would want to see their self being integrated. They would inevitably do things that went against the will of the main body. Just like how Chun Ri Tian had forced Ao Guang and the others. Even though such a flaw in one's mental state was insignificant, and an ordinary person would not care about such a huge increase in strength. However, Chen Hao could not tolerate it. His goal was the peak of martial arts, and he had never wavered from it. With such a lofty aspiration, how could he leave a flaw in his state of mind? Even if it was negligible, he could not have it. Otherwise, as his cultivation increased, the impact of a small flaw would become greater and greater. In the end, it could evolve into an insurmountable shackle. This was not something Chen Hao wanted to see. Therefore, Chen Hao directly integrated with Chun Ri Tian. Moreover, when he integrated with Chun Ri Tian, Chen Hao decided to completely abandon the nine animus profound art. My origin is indeed sealed. Otherwise, how could I not sense his aura when I'm already here? A moment later, Chen Hao obtained the result that he had expected and immediately withdrew his mind. As long as they were under the same sky, one could easily sense the aura of one's origin. Now, Chen Hao could not sense the aura of his second anima at all. This proved that the news of the second anima was true. His origin aura had been sealed by the powerful Astral River King. However, Chen Hao did not care. He knew very well that even if he did not look for the second anima would take the initiative to look for him. This was inevitable. Of course, Chen Hao also knew that the other animus would not be willing to be left out. It was just that they were not as exaggerated as the second anima. Just like the eighth anima, although it had done something that went against Chun Hao's original intentions, it was still under Chun Hao's control and could be easily integrated. Dean Sheng, your University of Dahua, will stay here for the time being. 3 days from now, the ranking competition will officially begin. At that time, we will send someone to take you to Deer Chaser Peak. During these 3 days, everyone can walk around the nearby area. After the disciple who was intimidated by Ruo Xian brought everyone to the arranged palace, he said a few words and quickly left with his tail between his legs. Meng Xian? Meng Xian is at Dahua University? What? Meng Lan is there too? Yes, there's no mistake. Although Meng Lan did not speak and her appearance has changed slightly, her temperament has not changed. Furthermore, she's with Meng Xian. Good. After 30,000 years, they finally appeared. In a vast and majestic palace, the cultivator who had received the Dahua University students was respectfully sitting in front of a young cultivator with a powerful aura. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.